What's up everyone? Welcome back to a brand new story. So the title here is a little bit misleading. This story is about Goku joining Raditz, but not willingly. A more fitting title might be What if Raditz arrived early, or What if Raditz kidnapped Goku, kind of like the one where he kidnaps Gohan. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I guess there's not really much else to clarify. Let's begin the story here. Our story begins with Raditz deciding to go to Earth much earlier. By now, Raditz is a fully grown adult. He's hit his growth spurt, and he's gotten decently strong. He still is a low-class warrior and is pretty weak, but he's much better off than before at least. And around this time, he has a random memory of Kakarot. Oh yeah, he's still out there somewhere. From what he remembers, Kakarot should be around 16 by now. He's probably going to hit his growth spurt soon, and will be fully grown, so he could join them. Honestly, he could have joined even earlier. Saiyans fight as kids after all, but he just completely forgot about Kakarot. So now it might be a good time to find him, especially because once he's fully grown, he'll be a much more valuable asset. So earlier on, Raditz decides to head to Earth. As I mentioned, around this time, Goku's 16. The time Raditz actually decides to go out is right before the 22nd World Tournament, so he heads towards Earth. Of course, he has no clue of what's going on Earth, nor does he know anything about Kakarot at the moment. So when he steps foot on there, he's a bit surprised because he looks around and there's a bunch of powers popping up on his scouter. They're not really high, but he thought Kakarot would have wiped out everyone by now. Weird. And as he looks around further, there is one really strong power far away and a couple others that are strong. Although they're not really strong by his standards. They're only in the triple digits. He heads towards the strongest one. He ends up going through his city, and he sees a news broadcast. There's somebody trying to take over the Earth. It's someone named King Piccolo. He declares that today is Piccolo Day, and as Raditz gets a look at him on the TV, he's a bit confused. Is that a Namekian? Why is there a Namekian here on Earth, and why is he trying to take over Earth? Aren't they supposed to be pacifist? Strange. He wonders if it's a transmission from another planet, but no, it seems to be actually happening here. And it's not like it's some fiction broadcast, it's actually the news. He's gonna go towards that guy then. He does see a couple strong powers on his scouter, but he can't tell which one's Kakarot, so he might as well go to who the strongest person is, because if Kakarot's not here, the strongest person might have something to do with that. It makes him wonder if Kakarot's already dead. That's the only thing that makes sense to him, because there shouldn't be anyone on this planet right now, but it's thriving. Well, kinda. It's under King Piccolo's rule at the moment, so thriving isn't really the right word, but there's a pretty big population, so that's unexpected. He arrives at King Piccolo's castle. The first person he encounters outside of the castle is Drum. That is a really weird looking Namekian, but he doesn't really have time for questions. He just wants to find Kakarot. So he asks him if he could speak to the king. Drum's not intimidated by Raditz, and threatens him too. So Raditz plays along. Fine. If he wins this fight, Drum should let him speak to the king. He laughs at that, but he accepts the challenge. And with a singular punch, he defeats Drum. Drum then weakly points over to where King Piccolo is, and Raditz launches a blast at him, killing him easily. He then walks into the castle to confront King Piccolo. And as he does so, Tien arrives on the scene. He's really confused because this random guy showed up and just defeated Drum, so he's not sure if it's an ally. And his power feels really insane, especially with how easily he defeated Drum just then. He wonders how strong this guy is. And he looks human-like, but at the same time something's off about him. So Tien keeps his distance and tries to watch on. King Piccolo exits the castle, ready to confront Raditz. And Tien notices something weird about Raditz. He has a tail, like a monkey tail. Of course, Earth has a bunch of animal people and people who don't look normal. I mean, look at Tien, he has 3 eyes. But it's so weird. Seeing someone who looks very human-like in appearance, but having a monkey tail, he's never really encountered that besides with Goku. Maybe it's just a weird coincidence, but he's not sure. Raditz asks Piccolo if he knows anything about Kakarot, and Piccolo's never heard anyone by that name. He's impressed to see someone who's strong enough to defeat his son. Surely Raditz won't be strong enough to defeat him though, but he'll humor him for a bit and answer his questions. So Raditz clarifies further. Kakarot's a strong Saiyan warrior, and Piccolo has no clue of what that means. What, he's never heard of the Saiyans? He's an alien too. And this comes as a shock to King Piccolo because he didn't actually know he was a Namekian. He and Kami forgot about that long ago, of course. Okay, well, Raditz tries to explain in simpler terms. The person he's looking for is someone with a monkey tail like him, and he has pretty spiky hair. And Piccolo says he doesn't know of one strong warrior like that. He's a tournament contestant named Goku, but not Kakarot. Goku, huh? Well, maybe that's just a coincidence because Kakarot would definitely remember his own name. He doesn't see why Kakarot would have a different name here. But either way, they've done enough talking, and he got the info he wants. So he assumes a battle stance, with Piccolo also ready to fight too. Tien watches on really confused, but then he sees a cloud in the distance. Goku's arrived. Raditz's scouter goes off, and Piccolo could see him coming too. And Piccolo says that's who he was talking about. And Raditz is elated. Yes, that is Kakarot. Still, it's weird that he's going by the name Goku though. Goku lands on the ground, and Tien steps out too, ready to join him just in case. He does plan on using the Mafuba on King Piccolo, even though the container he has is broken. And Raditz greets Kakarot. It's been a while since he's last seen him, but surely he should at least know about his brother Raditz. And Goku just looks at him confused. No, he doesn't know who this guy is. Oh, yeah, it might just be because of the growth spurt, because last time he saw Raditz, Raditz was also his size. It has been many years. But Raditz tells him it's him, his brother. He's here to finally take Kakarot away from this planet. He's not really sure what Raditz is talking about, and Tien's thrown off by this too. This guy's Goku's older brother? It doesn't seem like he's lying. He doesn't really have a reason to lie about that, and again, he also has the tail too. And this just makes Raditz even more confused. Piccolo's even there left speechless too because this guy's stealing his thunder right now. And Raditz looks around and asks them if anybody knows that Goku's actually an alien. No, this is the first time they're learning of it. Even Goku himself doesn't know. So it's not that he just forgot Raditz, he forgot everything. Alright, they'll deal with this later. He wants to see Kakarot fight this guy because surely he should be strong enough to do so. He just defeated Drum with ease, so Kakarot's power should be able to defeat King Piccolo even though he should be stronger. So Raditz steps out of the way. They'll talk later. He wants to see how strong Kakarot is. This is a very weird occurrence for everybody else here. Of course, Piccolo wants to kill Raditz because he just killed Drum, but at the same time he wants to kill Goku. And Raditz isn't taking him seriously at all. Like, giving Goku the chance to fight him as if Raditz would be able to defeat him easily. Whatever. That guy's clearly delusional, so he'll let him stay delusional. As for Tien, he's being really cautious here, because obviously King Piccolo's right in front of them, but at the same time, this random alien just showed up. And he did kill Drum, so he doesn't necessarily seem to be a foe, but he can't know for sure. They don't know Raditz's true nature just yet. But Goku gets ready to fight Piccolo, and Tien steps aside too at Goku's request, ready to help him with the Mafuba if needed. Goku and Piccolo then fight each other one-on-one. Things get pretty dire really quick, and Tien wants to join in and help him, but Goku says no, he wants to try this alone. And Raditz says the same thing. Let Kakarot handle it on his own. He has the power to do so. And as Raditz continues watching on, it seems like he doesn't. That's a bit disappointing. He expected Kakarot to be stronger, but whatever. He considers throwing up an artificial moon to get Kakarot to transform, but instead, he just takes the fight for himself. Goku would have won if the fight kept going on, but Raditz saw how much he was struggling and didn't give him a chance. He steps in, and with a single blast, he eliminates King Piccolo, mortally injuring him, and sending him flying away from the castle. He tells Kakarot now it's time to go. He can come with him and meet the other Saiyans. Goku is a little bit out of it right now because he's pretty injured from Piccolo, and at the same time, this whole situation with Raditz is weird. He still has no clue of what's going on, but Raditz then grabs him by the arm and drags him away. Goku tries to fight back, but he doesn't really have the strength to, and even if he was at full health, he couldn't do that. And he glances over at Tien. If he tries to get involved, Raditz will kill him too. If that Piccolo guy was really a tough villain for them, surely there's no way he could defeat Raditz. Raditz laughs and then flies off, leaving Tien completely dumbfounded. Tien really needs to tell the others. First, he looks for King Piccolo just to see if he could find him because he wants to confirm Piccolo's actually dead. And Raditz did actually succeed killing Piccolo, but while he was launched away by that blast, Piccolo spent the last of his energy to spit out an egg, birthing Piccolo Jr., and he's not going to be found by Tien. But Tien finds King Piccolo's corpse. Okay, at least that's one good thing, but they need to save Goku now. But how are they supposed to do that? They couldn't even defeat Piccolo, and Raditz was way above him. The rest of the group then arrives, and Tien catches them up to speed. And as they're conversing, someone else then teleports in. He basically starts off by telling them not to freak out because he looks exactly like King Piccolo. But he's not. And he introduces himself. He's Kami, the Guardian of Earth. He came here for 3 reasons. 1, King Piccolo was just defeated. 2, he's still alive, which means King Piccolo will return in some form or fashion because he was supposed to die with King Piccolo. And 3, there's now a really strong alien on Earth that he knows nothing about. Someone who is multiple times stronger than King Piccolo even. He actually had known about Goku before, and now that he's been taken away, combined with everything else going on, he does want to help. Typically he wouldn't show up on the surface, but he made an exception here because circumstances seemed pretty bad. As Guardian of Earth, he's definitely going to know if an alien comes to this planet, especially one that powerful. Although, Kami came to the surface after Piccolo died. About an hour has passed already, and it's already too late. Raditz was able to find Goku's old space pod, and thankfully didn't really need much repairs. He placed Goku inside of it and sent him off into space, telling him that he'll be healed pretty soon. Just sit tight. And he sent to a nearby Frieza base, with Raditz then going to his space pod and leaving. So, the two of them are already gone. Raditz worked really quick. A few days pass. Goku then wakes up in a weird vat of liquid. He doesn't know where he is, but he's fully healed now. And he steps out. He was in a healing chamber, and Raditz is sitting outside of it. Goku's immediately alert, and he gets ready to attack Raditz, but he says that's not going to work. He has some questions for Kakarot, though. So he heard he goes by the name Goku now. And Goku says, yeah, why is that a big deal? Raditz asks if he remembers anything about his past, and Goku doesn't really remember anything. Before he was found by Grandpa Gohan, everything's a blur. He doesn't even remember their parents? Like, Kakarot is the spitting image of Bardock, surely he'll remember that, but no, he doesn't. Raditz is annoyed by this, but whatever. At least that explains why he seems so good-natured now, and Goku demands to be taken home. But Raditz says that's not possible. As a fellow Saiyan, he's supposed to be here. That's the whole reason he came to Earth in the first place, to retrieve Kakarot. Does he not want to rejoin the warrior race again, especially alongside his brother? Goku says he has no connection to them, and he learns more about the Saiyans from Raditz, and now he really doesn't want to join. Raditz says this is for his own good, though. He couldn't even defeat that Namekian who was pretty weak. He's clearly not reaching his full potential as a warrior. And he tells Goku, by the way, Piccolo's also an alien. And Goku learns why he was sent to Earth, although Raditz doesn't know the true reason why Bardock sent him there. Initially, Raditz thought it was because he was supposed to destroy the planet, but Bardock actually sent him there to save Kakarot. And you know what? He makes a deal with his brother. If Kakarot can beat him in a fight, he'll bring him home. There's no way Kakarot will be able to find a way home on his own because he doesn't know how to control the space pods or even get to Earth. Not to mention, Raditz wouldn't even let him go that easily. Goku immediately accepts the challenge, trying to fight Raditz again, and even though he's grown a bit from his fight with King Piccolo, it's still not nearly enough to fight Raditz. And he loses that fight. See, Raditz says this would be really good for him. He'll get stronger. He'll have purpose as a warrior. He'll relearn his past. And most of all, he'll stop being soft. But in the meantime, Goku is stuck here. Meanwhile on Earth, after the time has passed, the group tries to figure out what to do next. At some point, Kami does eventually remake Shenron because he was killed by King Piccolo still. They can get the Dragon Balls back, and there's two options of what they could do here. Since the Dragon Balls can only make one wish at this point, they can either revive everyone killed by King Piccolo, or bring Goku back. After a year passes, they'll only be able to revive one person at a time. They can't revive big groups of people after a year. But currently, since they've only been dead for a few days, they could bring back their friends as well as anybody else who died. So there are a lot of lives at stake here. Plus, with Goku, they might be able to find a way to save him without the Dragon Balls. So it is a pretty tough choice, but they decide it's better to just revive everyone right now. Because if they don't do this at the moment, they'll have to revive everyone one by one, which is pretty much impossible because they don't know everybody who died due to King Piccolo's actions. It's not just Roshi and Chaozu they're bringing back. It's anyone else targeted by them, including all the tournament contestants, and everyone else killed in his conquest. They'll just wait a year for Shenron to return, and then wish Goku back that way. But in the meantime, Bulma's gonna see if she could try and find him, because apparently Goku was kidnapped by an alien, so maybe she could find a way to locate his ship. Although that's gonna be really tough because they don't know anything about what they're working with here. They just know the person who kidnapped him is named Raditz, and he's from a species called Saiyans. Also, apparently Piccolo's an Namekian, which means Kami should be a Namekian too. Right now, Tien's on the lookout with Kami, instead of Goku. They still have the issue of whatever Piccolo did to actually still survive, because Kami should be dead right now, so that's a concern, but they'll have to deal with that later. In the meantime, Kami's going to try and contact King Kai, which might be pretty tough, but maybe that can get him some answers. Thankfully, he's able to get in touch with King Kai, and the reason King Kai is so willing to talk to him is because he learns who took Goku. First of all, a Saiyan came to Earth. Second of all, there was a Saiyan on Earth in the first place. Which sounds really bad, but he learns that Goku's actually pure-hearted, which is good. King Kai tells Kami he's not exactly sure where Goku is, or how they could find him because the Saiyans will constantly move around. And he does want to help, but he tells Kami it's going to be really dangerous because the Saiyans work for a group called the Frieza Force, led by a tyrant called Frieza. Raditz is nothing in comparison to his strength. And not to mention, there are two other Saiyans out there. While all of this is going on, Vegeta and Nappa got word that Raditz retrieved his brother, and they're heading over to that same base where they're at right now. Great, another Saiyan to join the ranks. And in the meantime, on Earth, Piccolo Jr. prepares for his revenge against an unknown opponent. He doesn't exactly know who killed King Piccolo, but whoever Raditz truly is, he'll find him and he'll kill him. Of course, the prime objective of everyone on Earth right now is to get Goku back, but Tien decides it's best to be training too. But they find out about the threat of Piccolo Jr. as well. After they get over the weirdness of Raditz arriving, Kami thinks it's imperative to look into that, and they do. Figuring out the reason Kami's still alive is because Piccolo Jr. is now a thing. So, in case Goku doesn't come back, Tien's going to be the one to actually face off against him, and Kami takes him for training. I guess one good thing about this is it serves as a motivator for everybody because they realize they're kind of useless against Raditz. And according to King Kai, there actually are two other Saiyans out there. Raditz is the weakest of the three. Tien didn't even get the chance to fight him, but he felt like he couldn't. He was frozen in fear. He knew it would be a death wish, and it probably would have risked Goku's life at the same time. But it's not just him. Krillin, of course, wants his best friend back. He and Yamcha are training relentlessly at Kame House. And Bulma's trying to figure out some way to go out into space, which is a little tough because they don't have any space pods here, and it's not like she goes to the lookout with Kami and finds out about his spaceship. At least, not just yet. Let's go back out into space. Vegeta and Nappa eventually arrive at the base and meet Goku. They had some time in between missions to stop here, and they get to see him up close. He really isn't that strong. It makes Raditz look strong in comparison. He still is young, but still, a 3-digit power level? That's a little low. And he slowly is growing, like after healing from Raditz, and even training a little bit in the meantime, his power level shot up a little bit. But he's still far too weak to take on missions. Raditz tells Goku he needs to stay here and train, which is kind of a good thing for Goku because he didn't want to go on missions regardless. Although eventually, they're going to have to drag him along to that. So that gives him some time alone to think of a plan, and grow stronger, which is of course a good thing for him. And they know he's not going to leave here. Kakarot's the weakest person on the base at the moment. Even the regular soldiers here, they're too strong for him to take on. But they still know he might try and get smart and try to leave. So they're doing everything in their power to prevent that. Goku doesn't even know how to use the spaceships, thankfully. But on top of that, Nappa lets him know that all the spaceships are guarded. So don't get any ideas. And if he even does get a spaceship somehow, the Frieza Force will chase him down and shoot him down in space. But he also can't sit here doing nothing. Vegeta tells him that if he doesn't reach a 4-digit power level by the time he hits a growth spurt, they're gonna kill him. And Goku can tell that they are serious. These guys are way stronger than anyone he's ever faced before. Even King Piccolo looks like nothing in comparison to them. Thankfully, Goku still does have some time before he hits his growth spurt, so maybe he can achieve that goal. Although it's a little weird because he doesn't know anything about power levels. He just knows, well, regular ki. He never measured it with numbers. but he's only about a quarter of the way there right now, so he begins training. He comes to learn they have some pretty decent facilities here with really high tech. It's way crazier than anything he's seen on Earth. The downside is he doesn't have any teachers for him, so he's basically just got to go on his own. He won't really be learning anything new here, although one thing he learned from Raditz is the fact that Saiyans grow a lot stronger after they face severe injuries. Of course, he can't just injure himself and exploit Zenkais that way, but there still are other soldiers here, and they're not necessarily nice people, so if he fights them and loses, that could at least help him grow. From a technical standpoint, Goku is one of the best fighters on the base. Actually, the best fighter. He's the smartest fighter with the best technique, and even some of the stronger opponents struggle against him because of that. But only to a certain extent, because there are people here with power levels over 1,000, which is still way too much for him to handle. He feels weak in comparison to everyone around him, but he'll find a way. He also learns how to control Great Ape over this time, because before Raditz left for his mission, one thing he actually did show Goku how to do is to create a fake moon, which does take up a chunk of his power, but now he could transform into a Great Ape willingly, and at least learn how to control it. And by now he of course realized that he's the one who killed Grandpa Gohan, which is also another reason he wants to control this power. It's a good thing to have, because it could actually help him out in a fight, but on top of that, he doesn't want to accidentally transform into that again and kill people around him. Plus, he doesn't really have anything else better to do here. So he works hard. That's really all he can do here. There's no Senzu beans, but they have the healing pods here at least. So when things get bad, he's able to at least heal up that way. Another full year passes. Sometime after he turns 17, Goku hits a growth spurt. He knows that any moment now, Vegeta and his crew are going to come back and they're going to challenge him. But thankfully he still has some time because they don't know exactly when he hit his growth spurt, they're just estimating. It's a little strange, he at least expected Raditz to stick around him. But no, they just left him here to his own devices. But another interesting person arrives on the base. Someone Goku's actually heard a lot about by now, both from the other Saiyans and the other people around the base. The person he directly works under. All the soldiers at this base are pretty taken aback because they don't know why he's here. And he says he was just stopping by, but there is one person he wanted to meet. The Saiyan from Earth. Of course he knows there's another Saiyan. The others told him after all. His Earth name is Goku, but the others call him Kakarot. Not that he likes that name. And Frieza meets Goku face to face for the first time. He also heard the Saiyan was different from the others, in pretty much every aspect of who he is. As a fighter, he fights completely differently. As a person, he's not a ruthless warrior, but he still loves battle. And, of course, the fact that he's from Earth. He's never been a soldier. Goku's been waiting to meet Frieza because, well, first of all, he wants to know who the strongest person is. That's just natural for him. But also because he was kind of worried about what Frieza would do when he sees him. But Frieza's just kind of here for the novelty of it. He doesn't really care about Goku because he's really weak. He is pretty surprised to see another Saiyan in the first place, and the fact that he stayed hidden for this long is pretty interesting. Not to mention, the fact that he completely lost his memory. He just wanted to see what he was dealing with, and because Goku is so weak, it's not like he's particularly worried about the Saiyans. He also is pretty ill-mannered, but not in a way where he's trying to be cocky or mean, just that he's not polite. He's definitely not as annoying as the other Saiyans. Maybe Frieza will take a liking to him. He clearly doesn't like the other Saiyans. And nor does Frieza, so maybe these two actually have something in common. But that's all he came here for. He wishes Goku well. They'll probably meet again at some point. Let's go back to Earth for a bit. After all this time has passed, the Dragon Balls have been reactivated, so of course they have them by now. And just like they promised, their next wish is to bring Goku back. Shenron says that should be a simple wish to grant, so he searches for Goku. And then, he denies the wish, saying that Goku wasn't willing to be returned here. Since Goku is stronger than Shenron at this point, it's Goku's choice whether he wants to return or not. But they're all confused. Why doesn't he want to return here? So Shenron disappears, telling them to summon him when they actually have a wish. Kami's going to try and figure out the cause, and he ends up talking with King Kai, who's able to get in contact with Goku. This is the first time they speak directly. He has no clue who Kami or King Kai are. He never met Kami in the first place. But he's assuming if this guy's talking through his head, he definitely has to be the god of something. And yeah, he knows about the wish to bring him back. Shenron tried to communicate with him directly. He did actually deny it. King Kai asks him why, and Goku says he's decided he's only going to come back if he's strong enough to beat Vegeta. It's a personal challenge mainly, but also, think of it. Even if he comes back, they'll come to Earth again, and either kill or kidnap him. And that's just Vegeta. There's also Frieza they might have to worry about. So what happens if he goes back to Earth right now, and he's not strong enough to face Vegeta? Well, at some point Vegeta would come to Earth, and that wouldn't go well. And if he does take Goku again, Shenron can't grant the same wish twice. The other option is Vegeta just kills everyone there. Either way, they're going to have to fight Vegeta at some point. So he'd rather do it on his terms, and also not on Earth where he could put everyone at risk. This is his fight after all. He doesn't want to get them all dragged into it. The others urge him to come back though, and train here instead. Especially Roshi, telling Goku he needs to come back now. That's an order. But Tien kind of understands it though. As a warrior, and from a logical standpoint, it both makes sense. This is pretty in line with his thinking. And even though Krillin wants to see him back here, he kind of agrees with Goku's reasoning. It's not just because he wants to fight Vegeta. It is also kind of smart to do it that way. But who is this Vegeta guy? And Goku tells him the people he's met here. Raditz is the weakest of the Saiyans, and then there's two others, Nappa and Vegeta, both of which are multiple times stronger than Raditz. Goku's already grown pretty strong over this time period. But on top of that, there's also the rest of the Frieza Force who's pretty powerful. And he doesn't know the true extent of it. He could be dragging all that back to Earth. He saw Frieza up close at some point too, which kind of surprises King Kai and makes him terrified. Goku would love to fight him someday, but that's going to be pretty far off. Judging by how strong he was just in his suppressed state, he doesn't stand a chance, and King Kai immediately starts freaking out and tells Goku to not even think about it. Frieza's way more powerful than anyone he'll ever meet, and the fact that King Kai's that nervous tells everyone what they need to know. Bulma also tells Goku that they can use space travel as an option. They found Kami's old spaceship, and she could work with that and try and make into a ship to actually retrieve Goku. So instead of wishing him back here, they could always bring him back. But still, the same issues would arise. Plus, if they come here directly, they're putting themselves at risk too. But it's good that they at least have some backup plans. Krillin just tells Goku he better not die. He gets his reasoning, he just wants him to be safe. And plus, if Goku ever changes his mind, the Dragon Balls always can bring him back. They also let him know about Piccolo on Earth, but Tien's gonna handle that, which kinda bums Goku out because he would have loved to fight Piccolo Jr. Although, the opponents here are much stronger than what Piccolo Jr. would be like. At least, he assumes so. But he'll talk with them again eventually. Vegeta comes back to the base not long after with Nappa and Raditz. Kakarot's power hasn't grown too much. They've been pretty busy, so they couldn't come here right away. So they remind him of what they told him. He's already dead weight as is. They only brought him here because he's a Saiyan, and they expect him to be stronger. But they're not bringing him back to Earth, and if he's going to be dead weight, well, they might as well dispose of him. So now's for the moment of truth. Goku smirks and powers up. He's not necessarily sure how strong he is at the moment. He hasn't measured his power level yet. So he's a little nervous, but still confident. And he's made great use of the training facilities. Raditz pulls out his scouter, and the number slowly climbs up. Kakarot's power is 1001. Just over what they needed. Well, they were hoping it would be a bit more, but he held up his end of the deal. And actually, this isn't really a crazy power level because during the 23rd World Tournament, Goku measured at 910 at one point. Granted, this was from a source outside of the main story, because it was some power level listing in Weekly Jump, but still, I think it's good enough to say that he might be able to get strong enough this soon, particularly at his full power. Because remember, he has pretty good training facilities here, and since there were other people he could fight with here, he did actually exploit Zenkais to some extent. It wasn't all he was doing, but it was enough to actually get him ahead like this. Either way though, he's where he needs to be. And Raditz congratulates him. Still, he's weaker than Raditz, but he's getting pretty close. And for his age, that power level's more fitting. He truly is becoming a great Saiyan warrior. And now, he could finally join them on missions. Goku completely forgot about that. So, he's going to continue living, but obviously he doesn't want to go out on these missions. It's not like he has a choice though. And knowing the Saiyans, they're probably going to kill him if he doesn't go along with them. He doesn't want to go kill innocent people and take over random planets with them. Although, he has been thinking over this time, once the missions roll around, maybe there are some ways to get around it. All he really needs to do is grow strong enough to actually beat Vegeta and his friends. So, he just needs to get by long enough for that. And he could probably get by on missions without killing people and maybe even save some people in the process. It's going to be a little tough because he doesn't really know what the missions entail, but he'll figure something out on the way. While Goku tries to figure out what's next, let's go back to Earth. The 23rd World Tournament rolls around. Right off the bat, Chi-Chi is there looking for Goku, and she can't find him anywhere, but she asks around and finds Krillin. Krillin then tells her what happened with Goku, and she thinks they're just joking at first to try and make an excuse for why Goku's not here. But no, that's actually all true. He is legitimately an alien, and he got kidnapped by his alien brother. Oh. Well, she'll still marry him regardless. They did make the promise after all. She'll just have to see him at another tournament once he comes back. But those aliens better bring him back, or she's going to directly deal with them. Sure. The final match for the tournament is Piccolo versus Tien. Now, Tien has trained with Kami, so he's stronger than normal, but I think Piccolo's going to have the advantage here. They knew what to expect with Piccolo. And Piccolo also overheard them talk to Chi-Chi, and he knows that Goku's not here currently. Goku is his main target after all. So is his brother too, because, well, he knows what King Piccolo knows, and Raditz was the one to finish King Piccolo off. Tien's also a target for revenge too, but still, the two primary people he wants to go after, they're not here. He was hoping Goku would have returned by now. He fights Tien. Goku had a pretty tough time against Piccolo Jr., and he had better advantages than Tien did. And he also beat Tien pretty easily during this tournament. So compare the two of them, and even though Tien's stronger, I don't think he'd be on Goku's level. He's a brilliant fighter, and he still has his own unique techniques, and it would make the battle really hard for Piccolo, but I think Piccolo will end up winning this tournament, defeating Tien. No one can stand in his way. He declares victory, and now that he's won this tournament, he'll pick up where his father left off. But Kami then distracts Piccolo for a bit, asking him if he seriously plans to do all of this. They haven't tried the Mafuba on him just yet, and Piccolo actually was expecting it this entire time, but now it's Tien's chance. He's pretty weakened after the fight, but Piccolo's too busy gloating and he's talking with Kami at the moment. So Tien pulls out the container and performs the Mafuba. It catches Piccolo off guard and he tries to reverse it, but Kami steps in and helps Tien with it too. With both their combined power, they are able to actually seal Piccolo here. So even though Tien did lose the tournament, still, they were able to stop Piccolo. Well, that's one problem dealt with. But there's still the whole issue with Goku, so they're not too sure what to do next. Instead of jumping into what happened right after the World Tournament, let's rewind a little bit. By now, Goku actually has been on some missions, and he kind of fakes what he does. He's able to fight his opponents, but a lot of the time they're going up against innocent planets. He's actually able to help some people escape and make it look like he actually killed them. So he's able to fake it till he makes it and gets by like that. Some of the planets they go on are hostile though, and aren't really full of the best people. Still, that's not a justification for Goku to just kill them and wipe out the entire planet, but it makes it easier for him to actually fight them, although he's not really killing anybody. He doesn't want to do that work for the Saiyans, but he's in a really tough spot because if he doesn't, they'll kill him, and they'll come to Earth and destroy everything there. But he could at least fake it for now and buy himself some time. But after a couple of missions, the Saiyans are pretty suspicious. They're not stupid. Goku has never actually killed anyone on their missions. There's been some unconfirmed kills, but they never actually saw him kill anyone. They've seen him fight others, though, but typically he'll just knock them out at best. They do know he doesn't want to join them, but they come to see he truly is that weak. Not just in the sense that he's too physically weak to fight some of the opponents they go up against, but he's too mentally weak. He can't do what a true Saiyan does. They know he's holding back. He's avoiding his duties, and Nappa decides to make it clear to him. He needs to play along or there will be consequences. They'll be able to kill him, and they'll go back to his planet and take it over for themselves. He's seen firsthand what the Saiyans are capable of. Now, they don't really have anything to do with Earth, but he's sure they could find out some reason to go there. And it'll be purely because he didn't play along with them. So what's it going to be? Actually do his job, or die alongside all of his friends? Unfortunately for Goku at the moment, he's not strong enough to actually fight back against Nappa or much less Vegeta. But Nappa can tell he's not really getting through to Goku. So, he decides to fight him, and it's a completely one-sided match. Nappa gets to take out some of his anger on Goku, and he tells Goku on the bright side this will let him grow a little bit stronger, because he got beat up pretty badly and now needs to heal. But he tells Goku that next time this happens, he's not going to go so easy on him. He won't make it out of that alive. When Goku wakes up in the healing pod, Raditz is there. He's annoyed by this. First of all, annoyed at Kakarot actually not listening to them. It does make Raditz look bad by extension for retrieving him, and he's trying to make it seem like that's the whole reason he's angry. But Goku could tell that something else is off. Raditz is annoyed by this for another reason. It's because he's been treated the same way. He tells his brother that unlike him, he's not soft. And Goku says that's not it. It's because he's also weak. Now, Goku personally doesn't think he's weak, and if he is, he'll just grow even stronger. But, compared to the Saiyans, yeah, he's weak. And Raditz is too. As a low-class Saiyan and the runt of the group, he's gotten the same exact treatment. Goku's able to tell this because Raditz seems weirdly understanding, like he's been through a similar situation. And he's completely right, but he hides it from Goku, just telling him to do his job. One day at the base that the Saiyans are on, Frieza shows up, and he has to speak to all of them directly. He still has yet to get them all together, so this is a perfect opportunity. He's already met Goku, and he has to specifically speak with him first. The others wonder what Frieza wants to do with him, and Goku's just as curious. Goku walks into the room alone with Frieza. He's there looking out a window, just sipping on some wine. Even though he's not doing anything, just his mere presence is intimidating. It's like that of an executive and a mass murderer at the same time. Typically when Goku's near strong people, and he doesn't know what's about to happen, he's excited for the fight. But with Frieza, he can't really get a read on him. And sure, some of that excitement is there, but there's something different about this. Frieza's not going to try to fight him or kill him or something. There's a different type of tension in the room. Frieza cuts right to it. He knows Goku hates the Saiyans. He turns to look at him. He actually has an offer for Goku, and weirdly enough, Goku notices that Frieza's the first person to actually address him as Goku and not Kakarot. The offer's simple. He knows Goku doesn't want to be here, nor does he want to fight. By all accounts, he's dead weight. Frieza should just get rid of him. There's no point having him on the Force, unless he has some other purpose for Frieza. What if one of the monkeys played Rat? Goku's not really sure what he's getting at, but Frieza explains. He knows the Saiyans don't particularly like him either, and it's a personal beef, and he knows they're probably going to try and move against him somehow. So how he sees it, the two of them both dislike the other Saiyans, and as the old saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. He wants Goku to basically be an informant for him. And this isn't really an offer, it's a command. It's not like Goku really has a choice. If he can get any sort of information on the Saiyans that says that they're going to move against Frieza, he wants Goku to tell him. In exchange, he'll make sure that Goku doesn't actually have to do his job. He'll give him his own quote-unquote missions, and really just keep him at the base the entire time. Of course, he still will have to go with the Saiyans at some points to get info out of them, but he'll give Goku a less active role, and since it'll be from him, the Saiyans can't go against that command. But be warned, betray Frieza, and they all die regardless, Goku included. This way, he at least has an out. So if the Saiyans truly are conspiring against him, and Goku ends up joining, that's not going to be fun for him. Or Earth. Goku leaves the room, so Frieza suspects that the Saiyans want to work against him, and he knows Goku probably does too, but he also knows Goku can't really leave here. If he does, the Saiyans will try and kill him and go to his planet. And of course, Frieza could just do that himself too. So he's going to make the best of the situation. Goku's not really sure what just happened or what he got himself into. He's an informant for Frieza now? He doesn't really want to do that. Like, yeah, he doesn't like the Saiyans, but he doesn't want to be a rat either. It doesn't benefit him in any way. But he has no other choice. And Frieza expects this too. This is all a psychological ploy. Manipulation. He lets the other Saiyans know to stop fighting with each other. It's bad for business. And Vegeta thinks that Kakarot ran to Frieza like a child, but Frieza says this was his choice. Goku didn't even tell him about it. He found out about this on his own. He tells Vegeta if there's any more infighting, they'll all be dealt with. Right now what Frieza's trying to do is destabilize them. Having that outsider Saiyan here is good enough for that. And he doubts Goku's going to get any usable info for him, or even give him info in the first place. But that's the whole point. He wants them to suspect Goku's not working in their best interests. And by creating destabilization, the Saiyans will probably just turn against each other. He knows Goku came here without them even asking him. He didn't willingly join the Frieza Force. The way Frieza sees it, it's a win-win. If Goku actually does become an informant for him, great. He gets all this extra info on the Saiyans that he didn't know before. But even if not, he's creating fake chaos amongst the Saiyans, creating more of that same infighting he told them to stop. He couldn't care less what happens to any of them, which is why it might just be better for them to kill each other off. If they're truly loyal and all working together, that wouldn't be an issue. But even if there's a small amount of discord amongst them, that will cause infighting. The problem will solve itself, and Frieza won't even have to lift a finger. Following this strange encounter, Goku continues his training. He goes on less missions, partially because of Frieza, but partially because he's too weak for some of them. And Raditz stays back from some of them too. Goku asks Raditz one day to fight him. Not just a regular sparring match either, just fight until one of them goes unconscious. Raditz isn't really sure what he's getting at. Kakarot's still weaker than him. Just so Kakarot knows, that offer from before is off the table too. Even if he beats Raditz in this fight, which probably won't happen, he's not going to let him go home. And Goku expected that, but it's not about that either. Fine. He accepts, but he tells Kakarot he's not going to hold back. The two begin fighting. And weirdly enough, Raditz could tell that it's actually pretty close. He knows his brother has some weird abilities from Earth, particularly the fact that he could raise and lower his power level at will, which is what he was doing here. He hit his true power, and then once Raditz started fighting him, he showcased that full strength. In terms of raw stats, he's actually a little bit weaker than Raditz. His power is about 50 lower, but that's too close for comfort, especially because Goku has the skill advantage. So even with that small gap in power level, Goku actually has a way to get ahead here. But still, it's really close. The fight basically ends in a draw. Raditz wonders how he got so strong so quickly. Goku's been training himself to the limit. Plus, he's trained with Cybermen too, as well as other soldiers on the base. And Raditz is actually decently impressed. He didn't think Kakarot would grow that strong. Looks like he needs to grow stronger though, because there's no way his little brother can get ahead of him. The two then drag themselves to the healing pods. Both barely conscious in them, but they could still talk. It's a little muffled, but they could hear each other. Goku asks Raditz if they could ever beat Frieza. Raditz is kind of taken aback by this question, and he just weakly laughs at it. Kakarot couldn't even get a decisive victory against him. What makes him think he could take on Frieza? Sure, his growth is impressive, but not even Vegeta has a chance at fighting Frieza. No one does. Even the Ginyu Force couldn't. But Goku knows that's what they truly want. They want to kill Frieza, don't they? They do hate him. And Raditz agrees. For years he oppressed the Saiyans, up until that meteor-destroyed planet Vegeta. And then, after the fact, he made them his pawns. Sure, as a Saiyan he loves fighting, but it's not like he really had a choice of joining the Frieza Force. It wasn't his ideal career path. And Goku's not asking to get info for Frieza, he's just genuinely curious. And Raditz realizes that he's serious about fighting Frieza. He really does want to fight him. But why? Kakarot doesn't even have a personal beef with him like they do. Well, he just likes fighting strong people. Plus, he kinda needs to do that anyways, because even when he does get out of here, the Frieza is gonna be an issue for him. Raditz tells him to not get any ideas, and he's not even talking about Kakarot escaping. He's talking about him fighting Frieza. Maybe if he were a Super Saiyan he could, but that's just a myth. Super Saiyans don't really exist. And this is the first time Goku's hearing of this. Interesting. Well, maybe he'll try to become a Super Saiyan if that's possible. And Raditz laughs. His brother really is insane. Vegeta and Nappa are out on a mission alone. Nappa doesn't particularly like Kakarot. Actually, he kinda detests him. Vegeta doesn't really like Kakarot either, but he sees potential in him. He's been having good growth, and unlike Raditz, he's actually growing pretty quickly. But Nappa says they can't trust Kakarot. They need to drag him on another mission and see how he acts. They need to see if he plays along. And if he doesn't on this one, they should kill him. You know what? Vegeta's not really opposed to that. Sure, give him one more chance to make himself look good. So, on the next mission, the 4 Saiyans are all together. This planet is a particularly hostile one, with pretty strong warriors on it too. On average, these fighters' power levels are about 5,000, some even higher. For Nappa, it's a good challenge. For Vegeta, it's still light work. For Raditz and Kakarot, impossible unless they go Great Ape. When they arrive, it's during a full moon, so all the Saiyans transform. And it's pretty easy for them to take out all these warriors. Thankfully, Goku doesn't actually have any qualms about fighting them here. But again, he's not just killing mercilessly like the others. At one point during one of the fights, one of the enemies is able to attack Raditz's tail, not even knowing this would make him de-transform, but it does. Raditz turns back to normal. No longer a great ape, and basically defenseless. He's swarmed by all the enemies. It's certain death for him. But at the very last moment, Goku's able to save him, actually protecting Raditz and knocking all the enemies away. Nappa angrily then comes over and launches a mouth beam at all of them, incinerating them in front of Goku. And he grabs Goku by his collar. He's still not actually killing their opponents. But Vegeta tells Nappa to relax, leave it alone. Now we're back at one of the Frieza Force bases again. Goku's starting to get more and more optimistic. He's growing strong. He might actually be able to get out of here. And unlike Nappa and Vegeta, Raditz doesn't actually hate Goku. He needs to sway Raditz somehow. He has to get closer to him. And it's not just a manipulation tactic just for his benefit. He's not particularly fond of Raditz, but he wouldn't mind forming a real bond with him. He is his brother after all. It would be better to have a good relationship with his brother than hate him. Plus, Goku can clearly tell that Raditz doesn't like being with the other Saiyans either. They don't treat either of them well. Strangely enough, Goku's best chance at getting back home is turning his kidnapper against the others. Goku and Raditz are training again one day, and he asks Raditz bluntly. He doesn't like the other two Saiyans, does he? And Raditz says he doesn't really have much of a choice but to work with them. As a Saiyan, he thrives in combat, and he's better with other Saiyans. And Goku reminds him that there's a Saiyan standing right in front of him. They can grow stronger together on Earth. Raditz laughs at this. Kakarot was weak when he found him. What, he trying to get him to turn against the other Saiyans and go to Earth, just because the Saiyans are mean to him? No, he's not going to do that. And Goku points out that Raditz's tail still hasn't grown back, because apparently it's supposed to by now. And Raditz isn't really sure if it will by now, but he's still optimistic. Typically it does grow back. But Goku asks him what'll happen if it doesn't. The two of them are weak as is, and imagine if he can't go grade 8. He'll truly be dead weight. Even Goku will be a more valuable warrior than him, and Raditz saw how the other two treated Goku. They'll probably both be disposed of. And it's a long shot, but Raditz isn't going to turn against the Saiyans that easily. So Goku decides to make him an offer. He tells Raditz the two of them can train together. Goku can show him what he's grown on Earth, and once Raditz grows stronger from that, he'll gladly bring Raditz back to Earth, and the two can grow more powerful there. They'll grow stronger than Nappa, then Vegeta, and if they're able to do that in their training, Raditz will come back with him. He doesn't know what Goku's game here is, but sure, he agrees. He thinks it's completely idiotic. That's never going to happen. But if Goku can somehow train him to be stronger than Nappa, then yeah, he'll go along with it. But he does tell Kakarot, hypothetically, if this were to actually happen, he knows that the other two would just come to Earth and try and fight them. And yeah, Goku knows that. If he didn't, he would have actually left already. And he has a hunch that Raditz would have done the same as well. Raditz hates to admit it, but that is true. And that's exactly why they're going to grow stronger than the other two before they leave. And Raditz isn't too surprised that Kakarot's turning against them. It's to be expected after all. He was kind of kidnapped and dragged here. But he didn't expect Kakarot to actually rope him into it too. He thinks it's beyond crazy, beyond stupid. But it could be entertaining. Although he needs to think ahead too. After they defeat the Saiyans, what after that? They're going to fight the entire Frieza force. And yeah, Goku's up for that. Frieza too. Now he's starting to get excited again. Once more, Raditz can't tell if he's just being crazy or stupid. Or both. But it looks like Kakarot wants to start a rebellion. Not just against Frieza, but the Saiyans too. He must have gotten that rebellious nature from his father. Goku and Raditz begin training together more and more. The two also lightly exploit Zenkais because, since they can injure each other, that does help. But they're not purposefully doing that just to cheat it. Although, it's a nice side effect of actually having a training partner. Not to mention, on their missions, Goku still has to get by not killing. And Raditz does cover for him more and more. It's not that Goku has a problem with killing necessarily, it's just the people that they're actually fighting. A lot of them don't even deserve it. But Goku's able to get by. Although, Nappa is still really annoyed by him, and still gives him a hard time. And at some point he's fed up. He catches Raditz covering for him too. And Nappa gets ready to fight Goku. But Goku's not too stressed about it. Also, Vegeta doesn't intervene. Frieza did warn them to stop fighting, but he doesn't care. They could easily make it look like Kakarot just died on a mission. And he lets Nappa go at it. And you know what? If Kakarot actually makes it out of this fight, they'll stop giving him these responsibilities. Really now? Okay. Goku then powers up. He's actually been hiding a lot of his power this time. And he begins fighting Nappa. Nappa's a little taken aback because Kakarot's actually able to keep up with him. And not just that, he's just a much more skillful fighter in general. The gap in power isn't massive, and of course Goku doesn't have Kaioken here to rely on either. But by this point, he actually does surpass Nappa a little bit, and he ends up beating him in the battle. Vegeta finishes the rest of the job himself, a little disappointed in Nappa. That must have been a fluke because there's no way Kakarot's actually grown stronger than him. He's not really sure whether to be impressed with Kakarot, or think lesser of Nappa. And what does that mean for Raditz too? Has he grown stronger as well? Following this, Goku and Raditz immediately leave the base. Now they know they're at least stronger than Nappa, and they're gonna definitely have to fight him again because Goku didn't just kill him outright. But still, they could leave for Earth, grow stronger, and then by the time the Saiyans find them, they'll be able to win. Not to mention, they'll be fighting on Goku's turf, so he's pretty confident about it, and they'll have his allies to help. Raditz still thinks this is crazy, but he goes along with it. He feels alive. This is a lot of fun. So, covertly, they leave. What's Frieza up to? He wonders what the Saiyans' next move will be because, of course, he instilled discourse between them. He wants them to actually fight each other. He doesn't know how they're going to go about it, but he just hopes it happens in general. It seems like they're going to have a falling out soon enough, just like he wanted. They'll kill each other off. And he won't have to worry about them anymore, or get his hands dirty in the process. Of course, he could always just kill them himself, but it's more fun to mess with them like this. He doesn't care whether they live or die. Just as long as it doesn't affect his bottom line, that's all that matters. Some time passes. Krillin and Tien are training at Kame House one day. Tien started to go here more and more to train because, well, without Goku here, the strongest person he could train with is Krillin, and they've become rivals to each other. But then both of them senses some strong powers approaching. There's two of them, and one of them feels like Goku's, but there's no way he's back here. And then they realize who the other power is. It feels like Raditz. They're immediately on guard, but over the horizon, they see Goku and Raditz flying across the water, landing at Kame House. Roshi steps outside and can't believe his eyes, because first of all, Goku's finally here, but at the same time, Raditz is here too. And Goku looks a lot different. Granted, it has been 5 years, but last time they saw him, he still looked like a kid. Now he's fully grown. Also, he's wearing the Saiyan's armor. And the first thing Goku does is ask Roshi for a change of clothes. And Raditz waits awkwardly outside as Goku changes back into his gi. He didn't have another one out in space. That got destroyed pretty quickly. Tien and Krillin have been on guard the whole time, thinking that this is some sort of game from Raditz, but Goku was actually the one to bring him here. And he lets them know, right now, he's actually a little bit stronger than Raditz, and Raditz tells him to shut up. And at first they didn't even think it was possible, but they're starting to see that Goku might have actually brought Raditz on his side somehow, which is kind of insane considering what happened the last time they met Raditz. Goku says they need to get everyone back together. He wants to explain what happened out in space and what's going to happen next, because there might be a threat coming to Earth soon, but he tells them not to worry. He and Raditz have got it under control, but he would like their help. So, they all go to Capsule Corp instead. Everyone else is there. Bulma, Yamcha, Chaozu, even Kami shows up, and someone Goku doesn't recognize. But then Goku remembers who it is. Along the way to Capsule Corp, Krillin updated Goku on everything that's happened here so far. The fact that Piccolo Jr. was a thing, and he was defeated. But also, Goku's apparently engaged right now. The person waiting for him is Chi-Chi. After hearing what happened to him, she stuck around the group to wait for him, especially because she wants to beat up Raditz for what he did to him. But seeing him in person, yeah, she's not going to fight him. Although, she's glad to finally have Goku back, and Goku accepts her proposal. Pretty casually to the surprise of everyone else. Anyways, he begins to explain what happened out in space. They learn about Vegeta, Nappa, Frieza, and pretty much everything else out there. As far as Goku knows, there are a couple people stronger than Vegeta and Nappa too, but right now they only need to worry about those two. He's heard about the Ginyu Force, and Raditz mentions it too, but they're probably not going to come here. Although, they never know. Frieza, on the other hand, might be a threat down the line. Definitely not an immediate threat, but in the future he could be one. So right now they have to get ready for Vegeta and Nappa. Raditz says it shouldn't take them too long to get here. When he and Kakarot slipped away, Vegeta and Nappa were about to head on another mission. He expects they have a month or two to get ready. From the base they were on, it didn't take too long to travel to Earth, so he expects Vegeta and Nappa will complete that mission and then come here. Thankfully, it's not like everyone's been sitting around doing nothing. They've been training too, so they don't need to be caught up to speed. Sure, they're not on Goku or Raditz's level, but still, at the very least they vow to help. Goku and Raditz kind of want to take this alone, but they'll be on standby. Goku really can't overstate how strong Vegeta and Nappa are. He only just barely beat Nappa. So Goku tells his friends if they don't think they could beat him right now, unfortunately they probably won't be able to defeat the Saiyans either. But they could probably help in other ways. So they spend some time preparing. And about a month later, Vegeta and Nappa arrive. It's a bit sooner than Raditz expected, but they're still prepared. Not to mention, Bulma helped out by building a gravity chamber. This was a suggestion from Raditz. Planet Vegeta had 10 times the gravity of Earth after all, so this planet isn't really beneficial right now. And they've been on other planets with higher gravity. So they feel very lightweight on Earth. Even Goku does too, because he's had experience on other planets now. And Raditz says they should at least be working with 10 times that gravity. To think Goku was born on a planet with 10 times the gravity of Earth. Well, he probably could really benefit from that then. And he did. They grew decently stronger in the meantime, so the 4 Saiyans meet. 2v2. Vegeta would love to take both of them on at once, but Nappa says he wants another shot at Goku. Maybe they could just do a 1v1 first, although Raditz steps up. No, it's his turn to fight Nappa now. And Nappa laughs it off. Kakarot might have gotten lucky last time, but there's no way Raditz is going to get that lucky, especially being the weaker one right now. Judging by his power level, he's not as strong as either of them. And Raditz asks if he really wants to rely on the scouters still, because the last time he did that, Kakarot was able to hide his power and surprise Nappa, and Nappa says he doesn't need it, throwing it away and getting ready to fight Raditz. The two begin clashing. Right now, Raditz actually is the stronger one, and he makes the fight pretty quick. He really wants to get on to fighting Vegeta. As much as he's waited to beat up Nappa as well, still, that's the bigger focus here. So, he finishes the fight with Nappa, and it was a bit of a challenge for him. Right now, his power's a little over 9,000. Sorry. And now, Nappa's dead, which kinda does surprise Vegeta, but whatever. So it turns out Nappa was just weak. He has no use for him then, but he's still gonna kill these two. And it took a while for them to decide because originally they did want to fight alone. It's in their nature to fight 1v1. But they've come to the conclusion that it might be better to fight 2v1 here. Individually, neither of them overpowers Vegeta, and again, Goku doesn't have Kaioken here, so his power is just his actual power. Frieza's their target down the line anyways, and they need to get past this obstacle now in whatever way they can. Plus, Goku's rivalry is with Raditz right now. It doesn't matter if he beats Vegeta alone or not. He still has Raditz to compete with. Briefly, Goku does try to fight Vegeta alone, but then Raditz jumps in. And with their combined power, they do actually match Vegeta and slightly overpower him, but that's collectively. Individually, of course, Raditz is half Vegeta's strength, and Goku's around 10,000 right now, so a little bit more than half. And Vegeta decides to even the playing field a bit. How about making this fight more interesting? He throws up an artificial moon. He knows it's going to make them transform too, but it would be fun to fight as great apes. And Vegeta's strategy is pretty straightforward here. If they're fighting 2v1, he's just going to take out the stronger one first, so he focuses a lot of his efforts on Goku. Even with the brothers overpowering him together, when he focuses on attacking Goku individually, it's not like he could really do much. Especially now as great apes, the attacks are a lot more hard-hitting. And he's really surprised to see them working together like this. Raditz hated Kakarot just as much before. What has changed? Well, Raditz realized that he could have a much better life free from the Saiyans and free from Frieza. If Vegeta still wants to be Frieza's pawn, that's fine. But for Raditz, he's a pawn not just to Frieza, but to Vegeta as well. He's standing up for himself. He can't take that disrespect anymore. Who cares if he's a low-class warrior? He's already killed Nappa, and he'll send Vegeta to meet him as well. He'll prove his superiority. and Vegeta just laughs at this. Sure, he's superior. They were both born to be runts. That's why Kakarot was sent to this planet in the first place. And look around, there's no one else even here to fight him. No one's strong enough to face him. That's why Kakarot grew up so weak. But at least Kakarot had an excuse. For Raditz, he didn't grow up surrounded by weaklings. He grew up surrounded by other strong warriors, and he's only grown strong recently. And Raditz says that says more about Vegeta and Nappa than it does about Kakarot. Over 2 decades with them, and it got him nowhere. Meanwhile, a few years with his low-class brother, that made him grow exponentially. He's way stronger than he ever could have been. And together they could prove that low-class warriors could be whatever they want to be. They're not destined to be weak, and their hard work can overcome Vegeta's elite genes. Vegeta still doesn't believe it, continuing to attack both of them, while also taking a lot of damage himself. But as he's fighting them, somebody then flies in front of Vegeta's face. He doesn't know who it is, but Goku and Raditz see it's Tien, so they turn away. He performs a solar flare and then quickly flies off. Vegeta aimlessly swings around trying to hit whoever's in front of him, but there's no one there. Tien's gone. And then, he feels a sharp pain behind him. A Kienzan cuts clean through his tail. Krillin's there as well. They knew they couldn't fight directly, but they still wanted to help out Goku and Raditz whatever way they could. To think they're working with Raditz now, but it's an enemy of my enemy situation. Goku actually requested that they don't intervene right away, but once things got bad, they were free to do whatever they wanted to help. They assume that was their cue, and they back off for now. Thankfully, Vegeta can't sense Ki, so they go completely unnoticed now. Not that it even matters because Vegeta begins to de-transform, while Goku and Raditz still remain as great apes. Raditz then smirks, lifting a foot up and stomping on Vegeta, leaving a foot-shaped crater with Vegeta in the middle, not moving. Goku then points a hand at the artificial moon, launching a small blast that destroys it. He and Raditz shrink back down to normal size. That's the end of Vegeta. Goku's taken a lot more damage than Raditz, but he'll be fine, especially because he could just get a Senzu Bean or something. Goku didn't really want to kill Vegeta right away, but he gets why Raditz wanted to, and he kind of expected that. And Raditz is really happy. They finally beat Vegeta. But still, he needs to get stronger. Both of them do. They still had to work together to defeat him, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but imagine if they were strong enough to defeat him individually. But Goku says it's not a problem. They'll grow even stronger, and Frieza won't be a problem for them. He holds his fist up with Raditz fist bumping it. But then Goku's smirk turns into a really shocked expression. Raditz looks down. There's a hole in Kakarot's chest. He falls to the ground, lifeless. Krillin and Tien just came out of hiding too, stunned because they see Vegeta standing up, just having launched a blast to kill Goku. Vegeta's barely moving, and he laughs. Looks like weakening Kakarot was a good idea. He could barely move right now, but he might still have enough power to defeat Raditz as well as whoever cut off his tail. Raditz looks down at his brother, and he really is dead. He's not moving. He can't sense any of his ki. Tien and Krillin assume a battle stance with Vegeta getting closer and closer to them, but then they hear Raditz scream. He actually felt a bond with Kakarot. He saved him from the Frieza Force and gave him hope. They shared being low-class Saiyans, but more importantly, being brothers. He didn't think as a Saiyan that he'd ever have a connection with a family member like that, but he can't deny how he feels about it, especially seeing his own brother killed in front of him. His ki flares up dramatically, and there's a brilliant flash of light. It's not like what Vegeta saw before when he got blinded, but this time it's actually Raditz himself glowing. Raditz stands there with a determined look on his face. His hair is now golden, and his eyes have changed too. Vegeta doubts what he's seeing at first, but there is no doubting it. He doesn't even have time to process the fact that Raditz became a Super Saiyan because Raditz immediately makes quick work of him, rushing over to Vegeta, grabbing him by the head, and throwing him far up into the sky. Vegeta's already badly injured as is, so this is going to be complete overkill. Vegeta's flying up so fast that he's about to leave the atmosphere, but Raditz gets up there quicker to stop him, elbowing him in the head, stunning Vegeta and leaving him completely dazed. And Raditz holds both hands out in front of him, charging a point-blank blast. He'll make sure to completely eradicate Vegeta this time. Krillin and Tien watch from the ground below as a brilliant beam of purple light darts across the sky. Vegeta's ki is completely gone, and Raditz descends to the ground below, feeling a mix of anger, sadness, but also pride. He defeated Vegeta, but also, he became the first Super Saiyan, and Kakarot was the entire reason. But still, the fact that he lost Kakarot in general, he thinks it's permanent. He can't accept the fact that he's already gone. And Krillin and Tien, of course, are worried, but they tell Raditz he won't have to wait long. What are they talking about? Oh yeah, they never told Raditz about the Dragon Balls. He hears about them for the first time. Goku has never actually died before, so they could use the Dragon Balls to bring him back. They actually already have them gathered. They were going to use them to teleport Goku back to Earth when he was ready, but that never happened, so they've held on to them this entire time. So even though momentarily they were worried about Goku dying, they realized it wasn't really going to last long. Because Vegeta's gone, the Dragon Balls are already safely guarded, and Goku can be revived by that wish. Well, that's really news to Raditz. Not too long after the battle, Goku's revived. They did already have the Dragon Balls gathered, so it wasn't too hard to do. Raditz is just amazed at how quick the turnaround was, and the fact that this could have been done in general. So, those Dragon Balls can grant any wish they want. Well, not any wish, but sure, almost anything. Interesting. That gets Raditz thinking. And it also gets Tien and Krillin worried because they don't know what he's going to wish for. Raditz is kind of an ally right now, but still, he's not fully assimilated with Earth. He's kind of a wild card. But now Goku's back, and the first thing he does is ask, how did Raditz defeat Vegeta? Vegeta was very weakened, so he assumed it was just that, but no. Raditz says he unlocked something brand new. He's become the first Super Saiyan. Goku heard Raditz mentioning this before in passing, and same for Vegeta and Nappa. He thought it was just some random rumor that they made. But apparently it's a transformation, and Raditz was the one to get it. Does this mean he's the only Super Saiyan? Or is this a transformation anyone could access? Raditz isn't really too sure yet. This is only the third time he's used it. He used it against Vegeta, he tried to use it again after the battle, and now he's kind of got a grip on how to transform, and he could do it willingly. But he's still not very practiced with it and doesn't know the ins and outs. It does make him happy knowing he's superior right now. And Krillin and Tien are thinking that if Raditz truly was a threat, he would have killed him already because with that type of power, he'd be unstoppable. But he doesn't seem to care about that anymore. Although they also know there's another threat out there, Frieza. And Krillin asks about that. Oh yeah, Raditz completely forgot in the heat of the moment. Well, if Frieza really is going to come here, they definitely still need to be training. But Raditz knows that Frieza will be terrified of him once he sees he's a Super Saiyan. And not just that, he wonders if Kakarot can get it too, because imagine two Super Saiyans fighting together. Even with Frieza's great power, they'll be unstoppable. Granted, with Raditz's strength right now, he thinks he can defeat Frieza, but he doesn't know if Frieza has any power held back. For all they know, his full power could be much stronger. They're not aware he has 3 extra transformations, plus his full power. Either way, it's probably going to be a really good idea to train. Goku and Raditz immediately begin training again, like Goku never even died. They start to grow a fierce rivalry, but also more of a bond than before, combined with the fact that it's also a sibling rivalry. Tien and Krillin join them in their training as well, with Yamcha and Chaozu kind of being there but also falling a little behind. Krillin and Tien are pretty worried about Raditz even though he seems to be warming up to them, and particularly Tien's concerned after seeing what happened against King Piccolo. Not to mention the fact that he even kidnapped Goku in the first place. The one reason they don't fully hate him is because they know Raditz was working under Vegeta and Nappa, who are also working under Frieza. So at least part of it was to do with the fact that he was kind of the bottom of the food chain. But at the same time, he still definitely wasn't a great guy. He went around slaughtering planets, he kidnapped his own brother, and basically held him hostage. And Goku's taking it surprisingly well. He doesn't even care about that anymore. It was kind of a good learning experience for him too. He got a lot stronger. And even though he and Raditz didn't really start off too well, still, they've grown closer and Goku considers him an ally now. Not just that, he actually does consider him a brother. Before he detested Raditz, that was no brother of his. But after getting to actually know him and growing closer with him out in space, he feels fine calling him his brother. It's definitely not what he expected an older sibling to be like, but it's kinda cool to have this. About a year passes. There's no sign of Frieza. By now, Goku's also been married to Chi-Chi, and they even just had a kid together, who Goku named Gohan. So Gohan's gonna be a few years younger in this scenario. And Raditz says he'll be a powerful Saiyan, especially as a hybrid. But on top of that, he's the son of a Super Saiyan, because amidst their training, Goku was able to unlock Super Saiyan for himself. Pretty quickly, in fact. It only took him about a month to unlock it. Raditz was able to describe the feeling of getting the form and also what it felt like to transform into it after the fact. So Goku deduced that part of it was due to emotion, but also, through intense training and knowing how Raditz was able to tap into the form again, Goku applied that knowledge to himself. And even though there's been no word from Frieza in the past year, he of course knew about what happened. Vegeta and Nappa went to Earth and never returned, so he assumed that the Saiyans just killed each other off. Although, he does wonder if the other two survived. They never came back here. He assumes they just wanted to kill Vegeta and Nappa and then defected completely. So, Frieza's gonna go to that planet to check. It's not really a valuable planet, he just wants to confirm all the Saiyans are dead. And if Goku and Raditz are still there, he has a couple ways he might want to deal with them. So soon enough, he eventually does arrive on Earth, not really expecting anything. In the worst case, he's gonna find all 4 Saiyans there colluding together. In the best case scenario, they're all dead. But just in case that doesn't happen, he's prepared to offer Goku and Raditz their positions back, which is exactly what he does. He arrives and Goku and Raditz immediately get there to stop him, assuming he's here to kill them. And Frieza starts out by actually congratulating them. He's grateful they killed the other 2, but it's also impressive they grew that strong. 2 low-class warriors growing strong enough to defeat Vegeta and Nappa. It's interesting. And he offers them their jobs back, with no consequences, and on top of that, he'll give them even better payment and treatment because clearly they've grown. And they got rid of those thorns on his side, particularly Vegeta. There's 2 outcomes here. They'll actually go back and join Frieza, or Frieza will just kill them on the spot. Although what surprises him the most is that they don't seem fearful of Frieza right now. Raditz actually just tells him to get lost. He's not taking that job off her. And it doesn't seem like cockiness from Raditz, it seems like confidence. Like he has a reason to not even be scared. Why is that? Well, he tried to be nice with an offer. For their insolence and their desertion of the Frieza Force, he'll kill them and also will take this planet. All their friends will die along with them. Clearly they like this planet too, so maybe by threatening that, they'll actually wisen up and try and join him. And he looks over at Goku specifically. They had a deal, but Goku says he was never going to go along with that deal. He didn't really have a choice in the matter, and he also knows that it wasn't really an offer. It was a command from Frieza, a threat. He didn't want to work with the Saiyans and help them, but at the same time, he didn't want to help Frieza either. He tells Frieza he has one last chance to get lost. This planet is theirs, and he's not going to let Frieza interfere with that. And then something clicks in Frieza's mind. He recognized Goku before, but couldn't really put his finger on it. And finally he could see. He's the spitting image of that Saiyan that tried to rebel against him all those years ago. He's probably that guy's son, which means they both are. No wonder they're insolent. They're just like their dad. Goku's only heard about Bardock in passing from Raditz. He knows about his name and vague stories about him, but he never really inquired. Not that Raditz really knew him that well either. He did only know Bardock for a few years, and both were on missions for part of that time too. But Raditz did know that his father was suspicious of Frieza, and did plan to rebel at one point. He didn't know he actually did try to rebel, so Frieza lets them in on a little secret. It wasn't a meteor that destroyed planet Vegeta. It was him. Not that their father was too much of a challenge anyways. He was swallowed up with the entire planet. Still, he respected Bardock's battle spirit. It was really brave to fight against an opponent he knew he couldn't beat, because Bardock was really nothing to him. Raditz says it looks like they'll finish what he started. So he looks over at his brother, and he prepares for a game of rock, paper, scissors. Frieza just stands by a little confused, and then Raditz wins the game. They're just deciding who gets to fight first. They're mocking him, but Raditz assumes battle stance, and he and Frieza begin their battle. Frieza does have some soldiers with him, and they go to attack Goku, but he easily defeats them. A little annoyed because he wants to focus on the fight between his brother and Frieza. He doesn't have time to waste with them, and Raditz isn't really having a tough time against Frieza. Frieza's power is surprising, but Raditz is more surprised with his own strength, and he pretty easily beats First Form Frieza, then laughing in his face. He didn't even need to transform to beat him here. Frieza is a little confused by this statement, but realizes Raditz probably just means the Grade 8 form. He lets Raditz know that form won't save him, especially because Frieza has his own transformations. Then going into his second form, thinking it'll intimidate Raditz, but Raditz easily beats him in that form too. And Raditz thanks Frieza for reminding him about Grade 8. He wasn't even thinking of that, but that makes it even funnier. He won't even need that weaker form. What's Raditz implying? No, he can't have another transformation. Frieza goes into his third form, and this makes Raditz struggle a bit, but still, he's beyond Frieza. And just to see the look of terror on Frieza's face, he lets the Emperor know that it's exactly what he's thinking of. He has another form, a pretty legendary one in fact. Lowercase L legendary, not capital L. Frieza calls his bluff, going into his final form. Surely he's not suggesting he's a Super Saiyan, and Raditz says there's no need to suggest. He just confirms it by transforming, showcasing the new form, leaving Frieza stunned in fear. Not only because he knows Raditz is stronger right now, but on top of that, he's the Super Saiyan of legend. And then Goku butts in. He tells Raditz to hold off for a bit. He should get a chance to fight. Raditz says he won rock, paper, scissors, but he's had a really long battle, and since Frieza transformed multiple times, technically it was against multiple opponents. Raditz then starts arguing with Goku, saying that's not how it works. It was just one opponent. But then he also reminds him that he got to test out Super Saiyan against Vegeta. Goku's never gotten to fight anyone in a real battle with Super Saiyan yet. He's only had sparring matches with Raditz. So Raditz reluctantly backs off and lets Goku take it, with Frieza still being terrified seeing how casually they're talking, and also witnessing Goku turn into a Super Saiyan. The thing he fears most is standing right in front of him, and it's not just one Super Saiyan, it's two. Frieza panics, and with no other idea in mind, he tries to blow up the planet, but Raditz quickly jumps in front of the blast and stops it. He's not getting out of it this easily. He's gonna have to fight them. Goku then attacks him, and right now, he's doing pretty well against Frieza, but Frieza's only at 50%. And he's still holding his own against Goku. And Goku can also kind of tell that Frieza's holding something back, so he asks him, is this really his full power? And Frieza says he does have more in store. And you know what? It's probably enough to beat this monkey, so he powers up. It's not over yet. Goku and Raditz stand by, watching him go into his full power. Now this is more like it. You know, they're not really too concerned about losing, but they might actually have to team up and join their powers together. It would have been nice to take Frieza on 1v1, but at their current level, it's gonna have to be a 2v1, which is fine. They'll still kill him regardless. Frieza's ill-prepared for this. He didn't even think he'd need to transform in general, much less use any effort to begin with. These two low-class Saiyans somehow became the biggest threats he's ever faced. Even one of them alone was tough to take on, but now, with the two of them together, he has no chance of winning. Goku's having a lot of fun with the battle, and Raditz is completely elated. To think, he's going to be the one to defeat Frieza after so long. After all the times Vegeta and Appa put him down for being a low-class warrior. They were supposed to be runts, but they rose to the top, even above Frieza. And Raditz tells Frieza he'd love to face the rest of his army. Frieza's not going to get a chance to contact them, but they'll probably show up here regardless once they realize Frieza's not coming back. Goku's had his fun and is ready to finish the fight, so he nods at Raditz. Frieza charges all its remaining power into one attack, launching a blast at both of them. The two stand back to back, performing their own attacks together, combining their power as it swirls together into one massive beam. Briefly, the two beams connect, but the Shining Friday Kamehameha overpowers it, swallowing Frieza's attack, and Frieza too, completely destroying him and flying over the horizon out into space, leaving a massive divot in its path. With the brothers still standing back to back, they power down. It's a good thing they weren't fighting alone. As much as they each wanted to take on Frieza 1v1, the important thing was defeating him. And they still did get to have their fun in their 1v1 battles. But this is just proof that they need to grow even stronger. Even as Super Saiyans, they still have more room to grow. Raditz says that as far as he knows, Frieza was the strongest person out there, even stronger than his father King Cold, which they'll probably have to face soon. There's still other Frieza Force members out there too, but no one's strong besides the Ginyu Force. And Goku's not too concerned. First of all, whoever's out there isn't going to be a threat for them. But on top of that, he's going to be motivated to grow stronger regardless because the two of them will constantly be competing. They return home as one of Dr. Gero's drones watches them, recording data for the entire fight. Gero's still working on his next biggest projects, but it's good to have some data right now to begin with. Not long after Frieza's defeat, King Cold is out in space pondering his next move, When Goku defeated all those Frieza Force soldiers, he didn't kill them. A lot of them were just unconscious, so a lot of scouters recorded everything, and from what King Cold could gather, there's 2 Super Saiyans on Earth, and Frieza was killed by them. The soldiers that came back also retold this story, confirming that it's true. And King Cold realizes that the Ginyu Force won't be enough. Even him fighting won't be enough. Maybe he could try and grow stronger himself, but he might also need some extra help beyond that. The Frieza Force needs to expand. Well, I guess now it's the Cold Force again. But King Cold will require some more soldiers before they make their next move. The good thing is he doesn't know about the Dragon Balls. But it's a double-edged sword because that means he's focused on recruiting new people. The Frieza Force searches for months. And King Cold gets an interesting alert. They found a really strong power on some random planet far away. And what they found was incredible. King Cold immediately goes over there. On a faraway deserted planetoid, King Cold's ship lands. A bunch of soldiers step off, with King Cold following behind. There's 2 people on the planet, ready to fight, assuming they're under attack. But King Cold says he's not here to kill them. Even though he could tell that they're 2 Saiyan survivors, that's not necessary here. They're on a planet called Vampa right now, and he realizes that they probably were here for a reason, possibly betrayed by King Vegeta somehow, and he asks the 2 of them their name. One is named Paragus, and his son is named Broly. They've been completely separated from any civilization. They have no clue what's happened over the past few decades. And the best part is, they're not loyal to Vegeta or the Saiyans. They actually hate the Saiyans as well. Good. It won't be too hard to turn these 2 against their own. Broly and Paragus join King Cold's ranks. Now, unlike Frieza, he's not going to bring them to Earth immediately. He does need to put them to work after all. They did lose a good amount of soldiers, and not to mention, they lost some of their Saiyans that were pretty good at clearing out planets. But on top of that, he needs to make sure these 2 are even trustworthy to him. They hate the Saiyans too, but still, the last time he had Saiyans working with him, they conspired against Frieza. Who's to say these 2 won't do the same? This gives Broly time to get acclimated to his new life, and he also meets some Frieza Force members, one of them being Lemmo, who's been here for a while, and Chilai, a relatively new recruit. Let's go back to Earth for the time being. Not long after Frieza's defeat, Goku and Raditz are sparring together, both in Super Saiyan, making it really easy to locate them. And they sense a power approaching, and it doesn't alert them, but it kind of feels familiar, but way stronger than it should be. Goku can't really put his finger on what it is, but it feels like Gohan's power. Why does it feel different? A man dressed in similar clothes to Goku lands nearby, and as Goku gets a better look at him, he realizes that this guy does look like Gohan. Raditz can see the resemblance too and feel it in the key. So Goku just asks outright, who is he? The man does introduce himself as Gohan, except he's from the future, hence why he's so much older. He's here to warn them and to try and change the future. And since this is someone they know and they could easily verify it is actually Gohan, as crazy as the claims sound, they're inclined to listen to him. And he starts explaining what happened. A few years from now, Goku will fall ill to a virus and die from it. Thankfully they have a cure for it in the future, so Gohan brought it back here with him. But that's not all. He's not just coming here to save Goku. Not long after Goku's death, new enemies showed up. The androids. Creations of the Red Ribbon Army. They were really powerful, and even with help from Raditz, who was a Super Saiyan, it still wasn't enough. However, not everyone died right away. Gohan wasn't really involved in the fighting considering that he's younger than normal, and even though he was pretty badly injured, Raditz was the only survivor. Although he took a long time to heal, and even though he got a boost in power from it, it still wasn't enough to fight the androids, especially alone. Being the only warrior left, he took it upon himself to try and train Gohan, which eventually led to him helping to raise Gohan. Chi-Chi was still there too, but considering the circumstances, this was allowed. Raditz never had a kid or a relationship of his own, so he grew fond of Gohan. Before he didn't think much of him, except for the fact that he was kind of interesting being a hybrid Saiyan, but after his time on Earth, he did grow a little bit closer to his family, and after training Gohan more, he grew a lot closer with him. Gohan was still really inexperienced as a warrior given his age, because remember he is a few years younger in this scenario. They trained for years, but still it wasn't really enough against the androids. Even when Gohan eventually got Super Saiyan for himself, the 2 Super Saiyans were outmatched. And you might be thinking, well, they had the Dragon Balls, right? Well, not exactly. Following the deaths of everyone, they tried to revive them, but a giant dragon in the sky isn't exactly discreet. Before they can even make a wish to Shenron, the androids destroyed him, kinda like King Piccolo did all those years ago. Thankfully they were able to escape then, but still, now they had no shot at using the Dragon Balls, unless Kami remade them. But no, just like in the future timeline normally, the androids would find their way up to the lookout eventually. So, they also had no Dragon Balls in the future. But Raditz felt like if they had a good enough plan, they might be able to take on one android together, but he didn't end up living much longer though. Eventually in one of their battles, Raditz was the next to fall. He had been trying to tap into Gohan's rage for a while. Goku had been trying to do that before as well. But this is what really triggered it. Gohan made it out of this fight alive, not unscathed though, but also not the same warrior. He transformed, going beyond Super Saiyan. Gohan was the first one to become Super Saiyan 2. And it's great. He thought that with this power he might be able to defeat the androids, but still he lost his only ally. And not to mention, consider how weak future Gohan was compared to his present self, and the fact that he's also younger than normal. It's not going to be an instant win, but it gave him hope. He trained for years after this, and eventually got strong enough to defeat one of the androids individually. Catching them by surprise, it was a tough-fought battle, but he was able to kill 17 in a 1v1 first. Then, Android 18 was next, and he finally stopped that threat. Bulma was able to finish the time machine. And with the androids being defeated, it actually went by a little quicker. And now he's back here trying to prevent all the same mistakes. First, Goku will be cured of the heart virus, and then they'll be strong enough to actually fight the androids. But after all this time, it's really nice seeing them again. Raditz is pretty surprised to know that Gohan actually knew him well in the future. And as for Goku, it's pretty obvious that Gohan would miss him, he's been dead for so long. So Gohan does spend a little bit more time here and even spars with them, not only showing off his power in Super Saiyan, but Super Saiyan 2 as well. He doesn't know if they'll be able to unlock this that soon, but at least they know about it and know of Gohan's potential. And even if they don't unlock Super Saiyan 2 for themselves, which they might not be able to do, they'll at least be prepared for the androids. And he'll be back here in a few years' time. When the androids arrive, he'll come back, just to make sure everything's going according to plan. He says his goodbye for now, returning to the future, leaving them to train. Naturally, we have the 3 years of training following this. Goku and Raditz are trying to push themselves beyond their limits. Even if they can't get Super Saiyan 2, they could try and refine Super Saiyan in some way. Goku even has a pretty crazy idea. He asked Krillin and Tien about Piccolo Jr. Would he be strong enough to help out here? Well, Tien says that he was really strong back then, but compared to them now, there's no way he'd be able to help out. Why, is Goku thinking of freeing him? Not exactly, only if he was going to be strong enough to help. He never got to fight the guy, or truly settle the score with Piccolo for that matter, because Raditz interrupted when he fought King Piccolo. Maybe he'll get around to that someday. Speaking of Tien and the other humans, they're still a bit wary of Raditz. It's not to the extent of Vegeta, but still it made Tien and Krillin a lot more cautious before, not to mention the fact that they had to take their training really serious to defend Earth while Goku was gone. So those two are probably ahead of where they were normally. I don't know about Yamcha or Chaozu, but at least these two are. That's not all that happens over this time skip though. Let's go back out in space. Broly is still being controlled by Paragus, and King Cold sends him on more missions. Thankfully, Broly doesn't really have many outbursts, but King Cold's trying to do this to test him. First of all, he needs to quell those outbursts. Second of all, he needs to make sure he's loyal to him. And third, he needs to make sure Broly's even capable of fighting Super Saiyans on his own. He doesn't have that same power, but he has something else that's kind of weird. That rage within him. It makes him grow a lot stronger, as some sort of primal power he has. King Cold finds it pretty interesting. And you know, King Cold thinks about training himself, but he doesn't really need that. If Broly really is this strong, he could have him do all his dirty work. But Chila and Lemo catch how Broly's being treated, particularly by Paragus. They grow kinda close with him and decide they want to help him escape. They let Broly know this, but he's not really sure. He doesn't want to leave Paragus behind. That's part of the reason they want him to escape. Paragus is controlling him. He's shocking him every time he does something he doesn't like. So at the very least, Chila steals his remote. He'll no longer have control over Broly. King Cold sends Broly on another mission. And on this one, he kinda does lose control, and Paragus is still young enough to fight here, so he's actually on this mission too. He reaches for his remote, but it's not there. Broly's completely uncontrolled right now. So King Cold decides to step in, and before Broly gets any stronger, he has to fight him personally. Much to his surprise, Broly's actually stronger than him at the moment. But amidst the fight, King Cold is able to reach for his collar, grabbing onto it and channeling his own ki into it, forcibly activating the collar, shocking Broly, conditioning him into transforming back to normal. He's used to being tamed by the shock collar. Sheila and Lemo keep trying to convince him to escape, and eventually he does agree. He still doesn't want to leave Paragus behind though. But that's because he was around Paragus his whole life, and that was the only person he ever knew. Now he has people who are actually showing care for him in a different way. The only frame of reference he had was his father. These two are better, and especially after all these missions and being controlled by King Cold as well, he finally goes along with it. They steal a ship and escape. They need to find somewhere to go in the meantime. They're able to stop all the tracking on the ship, but still, they don't really have a plan for this right now. It takes about a day for Paragus to notice, and then King Cold. Broly's gone. Both are equally furious, so King Cold sends his army out to find him. Not just that, Chila and Lemo are gone too. Paragus never liked those two. They probably kidnapped him somehow, so they're gonna have to bring him back. And while Broly embarks on his grand tour, we'll go back to Earth. Goku and Raditz continue training, working more on Super Saiyan and getting a better grasp of it. Gohan even unlocked it for himself, but he's very new to fighting and he barely can grasp it. They wonder if this will be enough to fight the androids, but there's only one way to find out. After the 3 years pass, the androids arrive. And Goku gets ready to fight, but oh no, he falls ill to the heart virus. Who could have predicted that? Yeah, I mean, if he forgot normally, I don't think there's a reason he wouldn't forget here too. Like in some of my scenarios, I'll say, oh yeah, right when he first starts getting signs of the heart virus, he takes the medicine. But here, he didn't think of it till the last minute, so now he's out of the battle. Yamcha takes Goku home, and Raditz takes the fight for himself. He goes for Android 20 first, seeing that he's the commander of the two. Kakarot told him a bit about the Red Ribbon Army. It's kind of funny to him. Even though Kakarot became a pure-hearted warrior here, it's good knowing he tore up an entire army on his own. It's very Saiyan-like, but it looks like he didn't finish the job completely. He'll finish what his brother started. He starts fighting Gero and quickly learns about his energy absorption. And Raditz specifically holds back, just to make 20 think he has the advantage. He's lulled him into a false sense of security. Then he shows off the full power of Super Saiyan. And even just in Super Saiyan Grade 1, he gets the upper hand here, but he goes even beyond that. Amidst their training, they haven't completely perfected Super Saiyan yet. That's what they're trying to do next. But they've discovered a grade beyond it. Stressing all the power of the form, they have kind of pushed Super Saiyan beyond its limits. This is Super Saiyan Grade 2, or as Raditz calls it right now, Super Raditz. He crushes both of Android 20's hands, stopping the energy absorption. He grabs onto him with both arms and flies up in the air, letting go of the android and launching him upwards. Raditz then flies ahead of him, and then starts descending down, with the fist out in front of him, colliding with 20 midair, as he's driven back down to the surface. There's a huge cloud of smoke, and after it clears, the group sees Raditz standing in the middle of a crater with a very badly damaged Android 20, and Raditz asks him if he could absorb this blast now, charging Ki point blank as the ground below him erupts, completely destroying the android. 19 is still here, and immediately he realizes it's best to retreat. Thankfully, he's too fast for the others to catch, and he gets away before Raditz is fully done with his fight. Not to mention, without having energy descents, it's going to be pretty hard to locate him. 19's not really too sure what to do. He's got to follow Jiro's orders, but in order to do that, he will have to retreat. So he can't fight them now, but he has another idea. Maybe he could activate the other androids. Thankfully, Jiro preloaded him with all the data about the androids, and from what he knows, some of the androids have issues. So 19 tries to choose a logical option. Thankfully, Jiro didn't destroy all those old projects, so 19 has more to choose from. 17 and 18 are unruly, but they are pretty powerful. Then there's Android 16, who's also pretty powerful, but he's the opposite. He's too gentle, and also too laser focused on Goku. But from what 19 knows, Jiro had a few other androids that were obedient. Maybe they were too weak as they are now, but they did have a trump card for themselves. And maybe with all of them together plus Android 19 himself, they can find a path to victory here. And worst case, if these ones don't work out, they'll activate the other ones, even if they're not going to listen. The group eventually finds Jiro's lab. Raditz breaks down the door, and the first thing they see is Android 19 standing there with 3 other people beside him. Future Gohan's actually back here right now. Raditz is confused. Gohan said there's only 2 other androids. And Gohan doesn't even know what to say. Yeah, there were 2 androids. But none of these are the 2 androids he fought. Not to mention the fact that there's even more of them. Krillin and Tien each perform a solar flare blinding the androids. And Tien yells out that they need to quickly escape. Future Gohan agrees with this, and so does Raditz, being pretty cautious. Kid Gohan's with them too, and he's not going to have any qualms about this. So they all escape, each throwing down a bunch of ki blasts to create a smoke screen as well. And emerging from the smoke are 4 androids. The leader is Android 19, followed by androids 13, 14, and 15. 13 asks to correct him if he's wrong, but he didn't see Goku there. And correct, 19 isn't sure of his location. Also, he doesn't know who the other guy is. The one dressed in orange like Goku, who's missing an arm. Well, 13 thanks him for choosing to activate them instead of any other android. Looks like all those failures will have to wait, especially since 19 said they're not obedient. Actually, you know what? They probably don't need them in general. Android 13 quickly charges a blast, blowing up the entire lab. Well, at least the main part. 19's pretty taken aback by this, but 13 tells him to relax. He's the best android they've got. They're not going to need those other ones, especially if Jiro deemed them failures. And did they see how fast those people ran away? They probably can't fight them right now as is. Or maybe they're just scared seeing 4 androids. Either way though, they'll have the upper hand. 13 says that 19 made the right choice. These are the only androids he'll need. So the 4 androids depart, searching for Goku. But there's another android lurking about. An unknown android from another timeline, looking to absorb 17 and 18, unaware that those 2 have been destroyed. With 4 different androids active right now, as well as Cell showing up, the group has a lot that they're going to have to handle. Plus, there's still the unresolved business in space with Broly. Everybody regroups on the lookout. Gohan catches up with his future self too. Remember, Gohan is still pretty young here, so while he has been training, he's probably not going to be where he should be by this point. Anyways, as for future Gohan, he thinks this is a good opportunity to get to know his past self. He didn't have much time after coming back, but now they could actually talk a little bit. The first few years of their life would have been the same, but still he wants to see how his past self is progressing in this timeline. And Gohan has heard of his future self, of course, wishing he got to meet him before. The biggest thing he learned about his future self was the fact that he was able to go Super Saiyan, and not just that, he went beyond it. So that motivated Gohan, and he's on the cusp of getting Super Saiyan himself. And future Gohan could tell that his past self is stronger than he should be at this point, which is a good thing. That means he did at least change some things here. Although it's a shame that this is probably not going to affect his timeline, but whatever, he'll help save this one. And while they're talking on the lookout, Kami senses something down below. It's weird, it's not the androids. At least he doesn't assume it's the androids because it has a key signature. The other ones don't. It's a terrible presence. It feels like a bunch of keys mixed together. And not an ally, definitely a villain. Future Gohan thinks it might be a good idea for him to check it out, but Raditz thinks it's best to wait. There are 4 androids down there and they don't know what they're capable of. From what Kami could see, they're going around just destroying stuff aimlessly. But they've already decided on what to do. Kami says they should use the Room of Spirit and Time. Raditz and Gohan could go in there now, and future Gohan could go in there with Goku after. Since they're still waiting for Goku to join the fight again, really all they could do now is either train or try and fight the androids, the latter of which is a pretty bad idea at the moment. They might be able to win, but at the same time it might be too risky. And with how quickly the androids are moving, it's probably best to get ahead of that training. So Raditz goes in there with present Gohan. It would have been better for him to go in with Goku, but Raditz is the only one here right now, and future Gohan could have took him in there, but he's going to check out that thing Kami sensed. They could all go in the time chamber, but it's better to at least leave one Super Saiyan out here. Not to mention, with how strong Gohan is, he doesn't really need the extra training right now. But still, even though Super Saiyan 2 is powerful for him, that worked for him against 2 androids, and he had to fight them individually. He doesn't know how it'll work against 4 androids, especially when he doesn't even know any of them. They probably also need to move Goku around to hide him as well. 13 searches around with the rest of the crew, kind of spearheading everything, taking over Android 19's role. Meanwhile, Cell's lurking about, and he looks for Dr. Gero's lab. From what he could tell, 17 and 18 haven't been activated, and by the time he gets here he sees that they're completely destroyed. But who did that? He could also see that the other androids' pods are open, so some of the others are activated. 13, 14, and 15. That's weird. Those other projects should have been failures. Why are they here? He knows about them, but he's just surprised to see that they're activated. And it's a shame too, because they must have been the ones to destroy androids 17 and 18. Maybe he could use their parts to become perfect, but he doubts it. He was made to absorb 17 and 18 specifically. But he's probably just going to have to go after that. For now, it might be best to just absorb people. And as he gets ready to leave the lab, he senses a power approach nearby. Standing at the entrance is Gohan, the future version. Cell's surprised to encounter him so soon. He knows of him because, well, that was the person he stole the time machine from. But Gohan has no clue who he is. And one of his goals here is to actually figure out who Cell is, which is why Kami sent him here. It looks like he's related to Gero in some way because otherwise he wouldn't know about this place. And Gohan's able to pull what Piccolo did, feigning weakness and getting info out of Cell, and then showing his true strength. Cell in the future timeline caught him off guard, and that's how he's able to steal his time machine. But Cell knew that Gohan was maybe too strong for him, at least as he is now. Gohan powers up into Super Saiyan 2, charging all of his power into Masenko, destroying Cell and the entire lab along with them, not even realizing he caught present Cell in the crossfire as well. But now that he knows about Cell, he looks around just to make sure, and he finds the destroyed remains of him. Part of the reason he came here is because Kami said that's where this power went, and the other part was because he wanted to check out the lab and see if there's any way to deactivate the androids maybe. It looks like he got a little too ahead of himself though and destroyed everything, so that's kind of a bust. He heads back over to where Goku now is, and it's good timing too. Goku wakes up. He's fully recovered from the heart virus. It's a good thing they were able to keep a low profile because they don't know where the androids are right now, but they're still going around causing mayhem. But this is good. Goku's back in the fight. Gohan catches him back up to speed, and Goku's glad to hear that they're using the time chamber. He was probably going to suggest that. He didn't even think of it right away. Although he kind of wishes he got to go in there first, but that's fine, especially since Raditz and Gohan are both going to grow stronger now. He and Raditz have already gone slightly above Super Saiyan, just getting grade 2, but there's still more they could do. They haven't fully gotten Super Saiyan 2 yet. And Goku assumes that with that time in the time chamber, Raditz will be able to do that. Future Gohan and Goku can watch for the androids, and hopefully nothing happens while they're waiting. By now, about half a day has passed, and Raditz and Gohan are still inside there. It would have been nice to go in with his son, but he's still going to kind of do that when he goes in with Future Gohan next, and it's not too bad for him to bond with his uncle a bit. Thankfully, the androids don't seem to know where they are just yet. At least, it seemed that way. Nearly a day has passed. Not too long from now, Gohan and Raditz should be coming out of the time chamber. But before they exit, 4 people arrive on the lookout. The androids. And they're glad to have found Goku. That's their main target. They're wondering where the other 2 Saiyans went because they remember Raditz being there, and there's some kid with them as well. But this is fine. They'll find them later. Goku tells them that Raditz and Gohan aren't here right now. But if they want to fight him, they could take this off the lookout. It's a little too cramped up here. And the androids buy it, with Goku going to the surface. And future Gohan joins along. They're a bit nervous because they don't know what they're going to face with the androids, although Goku's also a little bit excited at the same time. He wasn't able to fight before after all. From what he heard about Raditz's fight, they might actually have a good chance here. Raditz was able to defeat Android 20, so Goku can probably defeat Android 19. They don't know how strong the other 3 are, but assuming they're all equal in strength, they could win if they play their cards right. It's going to be really tough, but not actually impossible. The fight begins and immediately Goku showcases all of his full power, rushing Android 19. And he knows about the energy absorption. He goes right for Android 19's head, placing his hands on his head and charging all of his ki into it. A point-blank ki blast destroys his head, and Android 19 is quickly taken out of the fight, with Goku briefly going into grade 2, or as Raditz would call it, Super Goku. I guess in his case, Super Kakarot. Anyways, Goku goes back down to regular Super Saiyan, and the fight continues. Android 13's kinda just standing by, confident that 15 and 14 can handle this. One of them each takes on Gohan and Goku, and now that it's a 3v2, the chances of them winning look way better. The only issue is if these androids are stronger than 19, which Android 13 is. For 14 and 15, they can't really gauge it too well, but each of them is able to take on one at once, and Gohan stays in Super Saiyan right now to conserve some energy, but going into Super Saiyan 2 easily lets him kill Android 15. As for Goku, he's able to defeat Android 14, and they're pretty surprised. Wow, they shouldn't have panicked over this. Maybe they jumped at a conclusion too early that they'd lose. Neither Goku or future Gohan trained just yet, and if they had Raditz here, well, they would have defeated 3 androids simultaneously, and then they just have to take care of Android 13. But 13 assures them that he's the strongest of them. He's not going to go down so easily. Gohan goes into Super Saiyan 2 and he fights Android 13. But as he does so, 13 brings the fight over to where 15 and 14 died. And Goku notices something weird. All that's left is a couple of pieces of them, but they start floating in the air. Android 13 charges a powerful blast, hitting Gohan point blank with it. It doesn't injure him at all, but it lets Android 13 jump back. He then opens his jacket, and those parts float towards his chest, getting absorbed in him. Maybe he did underestimate them, but he was made to kill them after all. As he is right now, that probably would be a bit tough, but with the power of the other androids combined in him, it should be easy. He then starts growing in size and changes completely, transforming into something new. You know what? Maybe it was good that they panicked because they didn't see this coming. Android 13 has become Super Android 13. The tides of the battle immediately turn. After encountering Cell, Gohan knew that he was able to absorb androids, but he didn't know Android 13 could do the same, and judging by Cell's reaction, he didn't know that either. For all he knows, maybe Android 13 was a prototype of Cell. I mean, absorbing androids sounds pretty familiar. It's not a particularly easy fight for Android 13 because Gohan is still a Super Saiyan too. He's pretty powerful, plus he has Goku there alongside him. So they're able to hold their own, but he clearly has an advantage even with the two of them fighting together. He doesn't care if they're Super Saiyans or beyond Super Saiyan. It won't help, and even if those people that ran away joined, they're not going to help either. A purple ki blast then comes from above, completely engulfing Android 13. He tanks it, but he has actually a little damage from it. He looks up in the sky, and a Super Saiyan Raditz and Gohan are floating there, each performing a double sundae and swirling those beams together. I guess that would be a quadruple sundae. And Goku's really happy to see this. They both grew a lot stronger. First of all, Gohan's a Super Saiyan, and Raditz clearly looks stronger in Super Saiyan. But it's not just that. He powers up and showcases Super Saiyan 2. And now Android 13 is facing a really big challenge. 2 Super Saiyans and 2 Super Saiyan 2s, with Raditz actually being the strongest of them right now. This is the combined power of the Sun family. And Raditz finds this kind of fun. Had he have known he could fight alongside his family like this, he would have ditched the Frieza Force a while ago. This is awesome. Together they're able to overwhelm Android 13. And then the 4 of them all stand together, with Goku trying to coordinate them. He starts charging a Kamehameha, and the 2 Gohans follow. And, just for the hell of it, Raditz decides to follow too. Android 13 stands atop a hill, ready to engage in the beam clash. He launches his attack, and the 4 Saiyans all launch their Kamehameha. Android 13's attack briefly pushes them back, but inevitably, the family Kamehameha overwhelms it, and swallows up Android 13 as well, completely destroying him and finally getting rid of the androids. That did go better than expected, but Goku still does want to train. He was looking forward to that, especially spending some more time with either Gohan. He might not need the time chamber though, but it might be good for future Gohan to at least get that. Plus, future Gohan had so little time with Goku anyways that he deserves it. And it's not just that. Goku can't stay behind Raditz that long. So he goes in the time chamber with future Gohan, and they're not in for the entire time, but they do grow in there. Goku's able to get Super Saiyan 2 for himself, and Gohan grows as well. But most important for Gohan, he got that extra bonding time with Goku. He really missed out on that, but now with the strength, he'll have more than what he needs to defend the future. He knows that Cell's going to show up in the future at some point, but he doesn't know what else is out there. At the very least, he's going to find Jiro's lab and destroy everything there just to make sure there's no loose ends. But in the meantime, he'll keep growing. He's going to protect that timeline no matter what it takes. It's a shame you couldn't reverse what happened there, but at least he saved this one here. He thanks everyone. Glad to see them again. Returning home to protect that timeline, and of course kill Cell. And reflecting on this, it makes Raditz wonder, are there any other strong enemies out there? Like, they know about the androids, but what other types of people did Kakarot fight in his past? Like, he knows about that Piccolo Jr. guy, but he feels like he's forgetting something. Oh crap, King Cold is alive. Raditz looks concerned, and Goku's a bit surprised, but he kinda laughs it off. He never got to meet King Cold, and he completely forgot he was even out there. But he knew he existed, and apparently he was weaker than Frieza, right? There's no way he's gonna be an issue. And Raditz kind of agrees, but also, he can't help but wonder, is it really not gonna be a big deal? Let's go back out into space for a bit, specifically to King Cold. Right now he's on his knees, bloodied and struggling. In front of him stands a tall hulking Saiyan, Broly, completely berserk right now. Not a Super Saiyan just yet, but using that same power from before. Broly then yells with a green blast coming out of his mouth, completely engulfing King Cold and destroying him. Watching on nearby is Paragus. Terrified, but actually not in any real danger. He tries to control Broly, but it doesn't work. Partially because Broly actually is somewhat coherent right now. Mainly because he at least recognizes Paragus and knows not to harm him. He powers back down to normal. Broly's been working on his own to try and tame his power. And not long after what just happened on Earth, Broly accomplished that and he sought out King Cold to deal with him, knowing that King Cold was also gunning for him and trying to kill him. But as for Paragus, well, he's not going to kill him, but he's also not going to return to him. Chi-Lai and Lemmo has shown him a much better life so far. Paragus did raise him and teach him some things, but in retrospect, he knows it's best not to stay with Paragus. He just wanted to kill King Cold though. So, he leaves with Chi-Lai and Lemmo. And Paragus didn't expect that either. He thought Broly was just going to kill him as well, and destroy the rest of the army. But no, the army's still here. He literally just came to kill King Cold. And Paragus doesn't really know what to do next, but there's an entire army without a commander right now. And you know, after going on some missions thanks to King Cold, he has grown stronger. He's a pretty good Saiyan warrior after all. And right now his power's in the 6 digits, nowhere near Broly. But as someone who's still stuck in the past and using power levels, Paragus thinks he's pretty strong. So, he takes it upon himself to take the reins of the army. What was once the Frieza Force, then the Cold Force, is now the Paragus Force. His first goal is to get Broly back, and then after that, he'll decide what's next. But still, they completely lost focus on the fact that there's other Saiyans out there, so he might need to deal with them as well. And Paragus hatches a plan. Maybe there's a way to kill two birds with one stone, figuratively and kind of literally. Years have passed after the android's defeat, and at some point, a ship arrives on Earth. They think it's the Frieza Force because, well, it's the same ships that they used. Plus, the people coming off the ships, they're wearing the same armor. The only assumption is that King Cold is here. But somebody else steps off the ship. He looks almost like a Saiyan, which is really confusing because as far as they know, all the Saiyans are dead. Plus, where is King Cold? It looks like this guy's in charge of everything, but that makes no sense. The man is very glad to see Goku and Raditz, and he greets them, introducing himself as Paragus, the leader of this army. He knows the two of them are fellow Saiyans, and he wants to team up with them. He's been looking all over for Kakarot and Raditz. He knew about them from before because, of course, they fought Frieza. They rebelled against the Frieza Force in the first place, and he finds it quite admirable. Now, they're going to be ruled by him. But as fellow Saiyans, he'll treat them very well. He just needs them to help with one thing first. This is kind of a long shot, and Paragus doesn't think it's going to go this smoothly, but he leads off with this, just to make it seem less suspicious. He offers them a position in the army, very high in fact. They won't be subordinates, but allies. As the last few Saiyans around, they need to stick together. Goku says he doesn't care to join the army, and Raditz is beyond work for the Frieza Force, although he is a bit surprised to see a Saiyan leading it. Paragus? He's never heard of this guy. Plus, he thought the Frieza Force would have died along with Frieza himself. Now, they knew that King Cold was out there still and assumed that he would have taken over it, but that definitely wasn't going to last long, and they thought that King Cold would come for them eventually. So, that's one of the first questions. Where is King Cold? They never found out what happened to him. Paragus lies and says that he killed King Cold. He overthrew him and took over the Empire. Really? He defeated King Cold. So, he must be pretty strong then. Is he a Super Saiyan as well? And Goku has to test his power because, well, it's another strong Saiyan in front of him. Of course he's going to want to fight him. Alright, well, Paragus didn't expect this, but he plays along with it and says he'll fight them later. He has more pressing issues right now. He doesn't really want to fight them right at the moment. In reality, Paragus has no clue how to turn into a Super Saiyan, or really knows what that is. They've heard rumors of it because of what happened with Goku and Raditz, but no one's actually ever seen it in person or knows what it truly is. And it's not just that, even without Super Saiyan, these two are far stronger than Paragus. He has no chance in a fight with them. He's nowhere even close to Frieza or King Cold's full strength, let alone them. But he cuts to the chase. He says there's a Berserk Saiyan out there, and for some reason, he has a vendetta against other Saiyans. Now, as the last few Saiyans left, they need to stop him, even if that enemy is a Saiyan himself. His idea is to have these two help fight him. He's going to join, of course, because, well, he's powerful himself. He killed King Cold after all. The three of them will work together. So what's Paragus' plan here? Well, it's to manipulate Broly. He's going to have these two fight Broly, which will result in Broly killing them. Paragus obviously isn't going to join the fight. This is just another lie. The reason Paragus wants these two dead is because, well, he hates the Saiyans, and they're pretty big threats. He doesn't know if they would have attacked him eventually. Not to mention, by doing this, he'll be able to fabricate a common enemy for him and Broly to hate. You know, the same Saiyans that they hated before? This will just be more proof that they need to team up again. They need to stick together. And on top of that, he'll be supporting Broly along the way. He'll tell Broly that there's more Saiyans out there and they're coming to kill him. And what better way to make him think that than have him fight actual Saiyans? He doesn't see any other way to get Broly back other than manipulation. And on top of that, he still does need to get rid of these two because they're going to potentially be threats in the future. So, he'll be killing two birds with one stone. But how is he going to convince them? Well, he used the same lie to them. He says this monstrous Saiyan out there, he's going to come to Earth and kill them, which is another lie. Paragus does have a little bit of a hard time keeping track of his story, but in short, what he's doing is kind of like what the Heaters did with Goku and Vegeta fighting Granola. These two don't trust him, obviously, and it's not going to be easy to get their trust. But he has proof of the Saiyan. He has footage of Broly going berserk. So, while they don't really believe the rest of what he's saying, they do know that there is another Saiyan out there. Not just him, but another one beyond that. One who's actually really powerful. And they are kind of interested in the prospect of the fight, at least. They don't really want to help him out, but hey, testing their power out against another strong Saiyan? It could be interesting. Raditz thinks it's dangerous and unnecessary, but it could be a fun experience. Even though he's usually more cautious, he's thinking now, well, he's a Super Saiyan too. He'll be able to take on this fight, and Goku's thinking the same thing. This is going to be a really exciting battle. What if that guy's a Super Saiyan as well? And Raditz is really interested in the prospect of other Saiyans being out there, even if it is just these two. It takes a lot of convincing, and Paragus needs to come up with more lies to string them along, but eventually, he's able to get them to join. They're not actually his allies, but they're going to go out and fight that Saiyan with him. Kind of out of curiosity. But they make it very clear that they're not joining his army, and they're not going to take over planets for him or anything. That's fine. Paragus says the offer is still open though, so if they ever want to join, they can. In their minds, if he's coming to Earth anyways, it might be better to strike against Broly first. Besides, they've ascended Super Saiyan. This can't really be a big issue. Although they're going to bring more people along with them. It's not just going to be these two. They bring along Gohan, Tien, and Krillin. They've been training a lot to keep up with the Saiyans. At first it was because there was no Goku, and there was the threat of Raditz out there. But it kind of just bled into their regular training even after Goku and Raditz returned. So, the two of them have continuously been growing stronger and stronger, developing a rivalry with each other, and trying to reach the Saiyans in terms of power. So the five of them board Paragus' ship, leaving Earth. And it's kind of funny, while writing this, I was more so inspired by what the Heaters did, like I mentioned before, but I'm also now realizing I'm kind of just creating the plot of movie 8 here. I mean, Paragus coming to Earth, tricking them to fight Broly, that's literally just the same plot. Kind of funny. I swear that was completely unintentional, but screw it, we're rolling with it. As they depart Earth, another ship follows close behind them, with no one aware that it's even following them. Paragus has kept tabs on Broly, so they know his exact location right now. They never attacked because they didn't really have anyone to attack with, and they're not really looking to attack him, but they also know that they can't come peacefully. So he's been waiting to strike, and now they finally can. They know exactly where Broly's hiding out on, the same planet that they were at for decades, Vampa. And Paragus sends them all down to the planet. They wonder why he's not coming along with them, because if he's strong enough to fight, he should be joining them. And he says he would love to battle, but he's got to stay back here because he's dealing with his own emergency. He'll join the battle eventually, but he'll let these Saiyans get the battle started. Besides, he knows Saiyans like to fight one-on-one anyways. Once the battle really gets going, he's going to join in. There's no point in him getting involved if they're not even going to fight together. The main ship goes into orbit, with one ship sent down below to drop everyone else off. Krillin is kind of questioning the whole thing, and Goku says that he's not stupid. He knows something's fishy about this, but still, he's not going to turn on the opportunity for a fight. And Raditz isn't too worried. They have a ship here. If they do actually need to escape, Raditz knows how to fly this, and so does Goku for that matter. They've worked around these things for years. They really were just curious about finding another Saiyan here, and especially if he actually was strong, they did want to fight him, but they've brought along Senzu beans, and if things go sideways, they could easily retreat. They fly around the planet, and it doesn't take too long for them to come across Broly. He's not really suppressing his power, and even though he's not at full strength right now, it's pretty easy to sense his ki. They come across him and he's not exactly what they expect. He's a pretty sizable Saiyan, but besides that, he doesn't really look too intimidating. He's just sitting there with two other people, Chilai and Lemo, and immediately when they approach, he's on guard. And Broly doesn't even try to hear them out because he immediately realizes what's happening. Three of them are Saiyans, evidenced by the tails. They must be here to kill him. He always knew there were other Saiyans out there, but he didn't think they'd be able to find him. He does consider that maybe they're working for Paragus, but the more likely explanation is that these Saiyans are here to kill each other because, after all, when growing up on Vampa, Paragus basically brainwashed him to hate the Saiyans. He's programmed to think that these are his enemies. Broly immediately goes into his wrathful form, which he actually does have control over, at least as much control as you could have in an uncontrollable form. He tries to keep his anger at a manageable level, and that lets him fight with his form and still grow stronger in it. But he still is prone to snapping, and they're not really too sure what's going to happen if he does truly snap. Goku's the first to fight, and he tries to fight in base at first, but immediately has to jump into Super Saiyan. And then Raditz tags in, jumping into Super Saiyan 2, taking on the fight alone. But despite not even being a Super Saiyan himself, Broly is keeping up. Raditz right now in Super Saiyan 2 is actually stronger than him. The issue is Broly is growing as he fights. So, Goku and Gohan both join in, and everyone fights together. Instead of joining the battle, Tien and Krillin go up to Chilai and Lemo, expecting that they're going to have to fight them too. But those two aren't warriors. Broly's fighting 3 Super Saiyan 2s at once, and it is more than enough to actually overwhelm him. He's still growing, but they could stop him now, and then he won't be a problem. Chilai and Lemo point guns at Tien and Krillin, and Chilai even fires her gun, but it doesn't do anything. Tien just swats it away, and his first instinct isn't even to fight them. Same for Krillin. They ask who they truly are, because they know something's really fishy about this. Gohan was pretty hesitant to come along, but Krillin and Tien knew that they kinda had to be the level-headed ones here and try and figure out what's actually going on, just so they can be prepared. They're not too worried because, first of all, they have the advantage in the fight right now, and Broly doesn't seem like a true threat. He doesn't even really seem evil. He was just defending himself. But what they do know is that Paragus is probably a threat. The guy is leading the Frieza Force after all. It's pretty obvious that he's a threat here. And as they talk, Krillin comes to realize that, as they expected, most of what Paragus said is fake. Broly's actually his son. But why does Paragus want them to kill his son? They learn Broly has an uncontrollable type of power, but he's gotten a grip on it. And Paragus is watching from space. He didn't actually expect him to get the edge on Broly. He doesn't want them to kill Broly. That's not the plan. Actually, the opposite. He wanted Broly to kill them. He underestimated their strength. And as he's watching from above, Chilai and Lemo then get involved, and they're able to calm Broly down, explaining everything to him, and he de-transforms. Paragus thought he was tricking them. He really thought they were that stupid to go along with it, but really? They were the ones tricking him, if anything. They got a good fight out of this, and they knew that Paragus was a threat from the start. He just didn't think they would be strong enough. And he doesn't want to kill Broly, but the other Saiyans should still die, and if Broly truly isn't going to rejoin him, he might have no choice but to kill him. So he's going to have to go with the nuclear option. Kill everyone on that planet at once, which is pretty easy. None of them can breathe in space. And Paragus can easily blow up a planet. Saiyans are pretty great at destroying planets after all. He'll get rid of the Saiyans that he's long sought revenge against. And as much as it pains him to get rid of Broly, he's a liability, and a potential threat to him. Paragus puts on a breathing apparatus and steps out into space. He holds out a single hand, charging an attack aimed at Vampa. And right when he launches the attack, a sword slices through it, before it even gets close to the planet. The blast explodes midair, knocking Paragus back into his ship. And as Paragus recollects himself, he feels something weird on his face, something sticky. It's like someone spit on him. But as he goes to feel his face, it feels like stone, and slowly, the rest of Paragus turns into stone. A large man then boards his ship, looking around. Paragus' troops are ready to attack him, but he simply blinks at them and knocks them all away. The man smirks, telling Babidi now is the time. Not too far away, Babidi's ship has landed on Vampa. Babidi's been keeping tabs on everyone on Earth, and when they left to fight Broly, he saw this as the perfect opportunity. A battle between his Saiyans. That could help get him some energy. Of course, it would be tough without any one of them being his servants. Although he could either stab them with the energy collection device, or possess one of them, which shouldn't be too hard. And especially now after seeing them fight, he knows that this is going to work for him. He thought he'd have to revive Buu on Earth, maybe during the World Tournament that was about to come up. But this is better. Babidi begins working his magic. Since everyone's power down and the fight is ended, it might be a little tough to steal energy from them manually. So, why not just make someone work for him? As everyone's conversing with Broly, he then grabs his head and screams in pain. And it looks like he transforms again, going into his wrathful form, but something's a little different this time. His ki flares up even further. Red sparks of electricity form around him too. Raditz sees that his forehead starts glowing, like a symbol's appearing on it. And then, there's a huge surge of energy. Babidi regroups with Dabra, and they watch together from space, looking into Babidi's crystal ball. Babidi says he was actually really easy to take control of, considering his father's betrayal of him, and the anger of Wrathful still lingering in him after the fight. Although, Babidi didn't expect that Broly would be this strong. But with him basically being mindless when he goes berserk, that anger makes it pretty easy for Babidi to control him, but it also had some sort of side effect. Besides just boosting his power, it gave him a transformation. Broly finishes powering up. He's grown significantly in size. His eyes are completely blank, but most notably, his hair is now golden. Broly has become a Super Saiyan. Tien asks what's happening, and Lemo says this is something else. Chila has never seen this before either. This isn't Broly. This is something completely different. They have no clue what's happening, but what they're witnessing is the birth of Majin Broly, and soon, the birth of Majin Buu. The rampaging Broly fights everyone once more. Now as a Super Saiyan, he's pretty much unstoppable. In Wrathful, he was easy to handle, especially with 3 Super Saiyan 2s there. But this is a whole different monster, and not just that. He's grown even stronger thanks to Babidi's mind control. The Majin spell gave him a power boost on top of it. But amidst the battle, 2 giant blocks of stone appear on Broly's hands, and 2 appear on his feet, weighing him down and sending him right to the surface again. He breaks out of it pretty quickly, but more of them spawn from the sky. 2 strangers have arrived on the scene. No one's seen them before. And they're pretty panicked, trying to explain along the way. It's Shin and Kibito. They didn't expect Babidi to strike now, nor did they expect him to strike here. It's working pretty quickly too. Shin tries to make more blocks of Kachi to spawn around Broly, and he breaks through them pretty easily, while Kibito also tries to paralyze him, but nothing really works. He breaks through it pretty effortlessly. Goku and the others are pretty lost, but Shin and Kibito try to explain who they are and what's even happening, and they learn of Majin Buu. Broly seems to be completely unaware of that. Basically, Babidi's been stalking them and waiting for this opportunity. As soon as they realized this was happening, they acted, but it may already be too late. Babidi did keep a low profile after all, so it was kind of hard to preemptively strike. Tien, Krillin, Chila, and Lemo are on the sidelines. Tien and Krillin do want to help, but they're kind of out of their league here. But then, a statue of Paragus falls out of the sky, shattering on the ground in front of them. Broly doesn't even notice this, thankfully. But then descending down after that is Dabra. While Broly is gathering energy for Babidi, it wouldn't hurt to deal with everyone else. Shin and Kibito notice this and warn Krillin and Tien of who Dabra is, but they feel like they can handle this. He does look intimidating, and his title sounds pretty intimidating too. Not to mention, Shin warns them of his spit and his strength, but they're pretty confident. The 2 of them power up. A red aura surrounds them. They're using Kaioken. Since they've been a lot more serious about their training, especially ever since Raditz showed up, of course they train a bunch on the lookout, and Kami eventually got them in contact with King Kai, so they have this. They can only use it in bursts though, but even without Kaioken, their regular power is pretty strong, but against Dabra they kinda need to rely on this, although with their strength they should be able to hold them off. Broly is fighting pretty mindlessly right now. Kibito is also able to heal the 3 Saiyans fighting, restoring their injuries from their previous fight with Broly, but it's not really going to help too much here. Broly is still way too strong for them, but with him being berserk, they just have to fight defensively and keep their distance. He is growing and adapting as he fights, but still, he's an uncontrollable monster right now. Meanwhile, as Tien and Krillin fight Dabra, Dabra tries to spit on Tien at one point, but quickly he tries something on a whim. He charges into Kaioken, and with all his power he launches a Ki. An air blast to send the spit right back at Dabra. It hits him, and it doesn't affect him. Of course his own spell isn't going to affect him. He laughs at this too. It seemed like a pretty good plan, but did they really expect him to be affected by his own spit? And honestly, Tien wasn't really sure. He was just trying to defend himself from it. But more importantly, it acted as a good distraction. As Dabra's mocking him, he then senses something pretty powerful behind him. He turns around, but it's already too late. A Kienzan from Krillin cuts clean through his neck just as he turns around, beheading him. And just in case, the 2 of them jump up in the air, each launching a blast down to erase whatever's left of Dabra. They can't be too careful. Tien tells Krillin that was good thinking, and Krillin says the same for him, but Tien looks up in the sky and sees Paragus' ship. So where's that Babidi guy that Shin's talking about? Thankfully Tien has pretty good eyesight, I mean the 3 eyes and all, and he can actually see Babidi watching from above. Babidi hasn't even noticed that Dabra died. He's too focused on Broly's fight and the energy that he's collecting. So focused, in fact, that he doesn't notice Tien looking at him. Tien launches a Dodonpa up in the air. At the very last microsecond, Babidi notices it, and it's already too late. It hits him head on, completely obliterating him and blowing up the ship that he's on. Alright, that's 2 of them down, so now they actually need to find where Boo's egg is. Babidi must have brought it with him somehow, right? And yeah, he was able to put it aboard his spaceship, and he took it from Earth to here. But his spaceship is parked somewhere on Vampa right now, and they have no clue of how to find it. So they start their search, with Chila and Lemo trying to help. This kind of calms Shin down a bit. It's good that they got rid of Babidi and Dabra, but still. What about Boo? They don't know where his egg is, and they don't know how much energy he has. What they don't realize is that Tien just gave them the last little bit of energy that they needed. Broly already gathered a lot, and killing Babidi actually gave the last little amount. It's already on autopilot, basically. Broly then slowly starts to snap out of it. The M on his forehead disappears. Without Babidi to control him, he's just, well, a regular Super Saiyan, which still isn't great, and he's still pretty uncontrollable. But he has worked on controlling his anger before, and with Chila and Lemo there, they might be able to get through to him. But that's not their main focus right now. Everyone senses a terrifying presence nearby. Hidden not too far away from them is Boo's egg. Outside of it are Pui and Yakon. Tien and Krillin quickly rush over there, with Shin and Kibito following as the Saiyans fight off Broly. A huge cloud of smoke shoots up in the air, and then Boo appears. Right off the bat, Tien and Krillin kill Yakon and Pui, and then they stand ready for Boo, also realizing that this is probably a losing battle, especially with Shin and Kibito's reactions. Meanwhile, Chila and Lemo are trying to get through to Broly. As a Super Saiyan, he can't really control this just yet, but they're at least able to guide him towards Boo. The Saiyans fly over to where Boo is, and Broly follows them, causing Broly and Boo to come in contact with each other. The Berserk Broly immediately attacks Boo, starting off with a strong punch. Boo feels pain from it, but he's not injured from it. He is pretty stretchy after all. He and Broly start exchanging blows. Goku, Raditz, and Gohan land beside Shin and Kibito. So, what now? It does look like Boo is pretty strong, but Broly's also really strong. Broly may even be able to defeat Boo as he is now. But the issue is, they're going to have to fight him right after. And Raditz watches on closely, wondering if Broly could actually pull it off. They know nothing about Majin Buu, and they don't really know that much about Broly either. He wonders what type of Saiyan Broly is. He must be some sort of mutant because he's never seen a Saiyan with power like this. Shin is pretty concerned because if Broly can't win, they're going to have to fight Buu, and then they're screwed. But if Broly wins, they're going to have to fight him and calm him down somehow. But Goku isn't too worried. He thinks that they'll be able to get through to him, especially with Chila and Lemo's help. They're all pretty badly beat up right now, but they did get to talk with Broly a bit before. Goku realizes Broly isn't a bad guy at all. He just has this uncontrollable power. As he's facing Buu, Kibito heals the 3 Saiyans and they join in. The battle briefly stops, with Buu and Broly staring each other down. But Goku puts a hand on Broly's shoulder. Broly almost immediately goes to attack Goku, but he tells him they don't need to fight. They're not enemies. And Broly briefly listens, because as he turns towards Goku, he gets a look at Chila and Lemo again. And Goku lets them know, if he keeps going berserk, they're all gonna die. On top of that, if he can't defeat Buu, they're all gonna die. Either way, Broly needs to learn to get a grip on his power, because otherwise, everything he loved will be gone, and he might even die in the process. When it comes to Buu, they don't know what they're truly dealing with, but Raditz chimes in. He says if Broly controls that power, he's gonna have more than enough. A Saiyan like him could win a battle like this. And Gohan steps up too. With his own power coming from rage as well, he kinda sympathizes with Broly, although he doesn't go berserk when his rage gets a hold of him. But they all basically encourage Broly, trying to get him to harness this power. And then the 3 of them jump in to fight Buu alone, as Broly stands back, trying to regain control of himself. He stops fighting. He falls to a knee, grabbing his head again. Slowly, his aura starts to dissipate. He remains in Super Saiyan, but his eyes are no longer blank. He shrinks in size just a little bit. He is still pretty massive though. And then he stands up, looking down at his hands. He exhales. He has control over this. Thanks to all of his time training with Wrathful and getting a grip on that, he has a brief moment of lucidity here with Super Saiyan, and he's able to grasp it. He looks over at Chila and Lemo and nods, and then flies in to help the other 3. Buu's having fun fighting the 3 other Saiyans. Unlike Broly, they're no match for him though, so he tells them they're no fun, but then Broly flies in to support them. Without his power going out of control, and without Babidi's help, he is weaker than he was before in the beginning of the battle. But still, as a controlled Super Saiyan, he's far stronger than anyone else here, and even a little bit stronger than Buu is right now. He thinks he has this in the bag, and Raditz smirks. Awesome. He's never seen power like this. The 4 Saiyans all stand together, and Goku lets Broly know. As they were fighting Buu, and as Broly was fighting Buu, they noticed that he was able to regenerate, so it looks like they're going to have to destroy him with one powerful attack. And Goku asks if Broly thinks he could do that, and Broly says he should be able to. They could all combine their power together, but Broly will be the finishing blow. Goku and Raditz would love to fight Buu alone, since they're used to 1v1s, but with everything at stake right now, it looks like they really can't risk that. Buu starts losing ground really quickly. Babidi used Broly to unleash Buu, but didn't realize that he'd also be the one to defeat Buu. As Broly clashes with Buu, Goku, Raditz, and Gohan perform a family Kamehameha together. Broly quickly jumps back and then joins them. Instead of performing Kamehameha, he opens his mouth and launches a huge blast of energy from it. For a brief moment, his hair even flickers green, but his green beam swirls around with their Kamehameha. Buu tries to counter with his own attack, even mimicking them and performing his own Kamehameha. But his beam is quickly overpowered, and he's swallowed up whole by their attack. There's nothing left of Buu. He's completely destroyed, and they've won the battle, not just defeating Buu, but taming Broly. Exhausted, they all power down, and Shin lets out a sigh of relief, until a massive pillar of light appears right next to them. Shin and Kibito jump up in the air, and they nearly faint when they realize who's here. Beerus. Raditz doesn't recognize him, but knows the name, so he's pretty terrified. Goku had heard his name once in passing from Vegeta, though he thought it was some sort of urban legend or some sort of expression that he was using. A god of destruction. He didn't think that actually existed. But Vegeta did actually see Beerus with his own eyes, and Raditz heard the tale about it. Whis then looks around and smiles, telling Beerus that all the Saiyans are gathered in one spot here. These are all the remaining ones. Well, there actually is one other pretty weak one out there, but he keeps that to himself. He assumes they all know who Tarble is anyways. Beerus looks around pretty disgusted by this planet. Why are they here of all places? And then Shin explains what happened. First explaining why Broly's here, why the Saiyans came here, and who they just fought. Well, Oracle Fish told him to wake up right now, and it looks like he woke up just in time, arriving here just moments after Buu's defeat. So, that must mean one of these Saiyans here is his rival. He's gonna want to fight them to test it out. Whis taps his staff on the ground, and all the Saiyans are healed. Raditz is a bit terrified, and Shin and Kibito think this is insane, but you know what? They're all gonna go along with it. They're Saiyans after all. They'd love a good battle like that. Beerus fights the Saiyans, and none of them are too impressive for him, until he gets to Broly. Broly does show his strength again as Super Saiyan, and even at one point his hair flickers green, which Beerus tries to drag out of him. But once he does that, he fully transforms into his full power, and he loses control. Beerus is impressed by this strength, definitely unlike anything he's ever seen, but at the same time it's clearly not defined. I mean, look at it. So Beerus shows off a little bit more of his power, and defeats Broly. This is Broly from years prior. At the point of the story we're at now, this is before the Buu saga was even supposed to happen. Still, that Saiyan shows more promise than the others. He'll leave them be for now, but he knows one of these is going to be his rival. He might have just showed up at a bad time, but he's going to watch them from afar. He expected a Super Saiyan God, and all he got was just, well, Super Saiyans. He'll take another nap for a few months, and then he'll be back eventually. Beerus showed up for a few minutes, beat everyone up, and then immediately left. That was weird. Shin thanks everyone for their help, though. He doesn't really know what else to say because he didn't even expect Babidi to show up right now, so he wishes things went a little bit more smoothly. But they should probably go too. Shin and Kibito then teleport away, with the Saiyans unsure of what to do next. The first thing Goku does is invite Broly to Earth. Unlike normal, Broly has nothing to hide from because there's no Frieza coming after him. And they don't actually know that Paragus is dead, but even if he were still alive, he wouldn't really be a threat. So Broly's not too scared of him. There's no reason for them to stay on Vampa when there's a much better planet out there. And they end up going to Earth. About half a year passes. We're still before the Buu saga was originally supposed to happen, by the way. And Beerus wakes up from that short nap. He comes to Earth for the very first time, hoping that the Saiyans have grown since then. But as he comes to Earth, one of the first things he does is try some of the food here, and it's pretty amazing. He was going to be really disappointed if he didn't actually fight a Super Saiyan God just yet, but you know what? That put him in a really good mood. So, regardless of if he fights a Super Saiyan God right now or not, that's fine. And besides, he knows about the Super Saiyan God ritual now. He had Whis research it while he was sleeping. And the Namekian Book of Legends actually had some info for him. The issue is, they're not going to have enough Saiyans here. They have Goku, Broly, Raditz, Gohan, and Goten. They would need a 6th Saiyan. And Whis did find out about Tarble before, but he's not sure if he would even fit the ritual. But as he looked around, there were no other Saiyans out there. It's just these 5. And besides Goku, Gohan, and Goten, they don't know if the other 2 are fully righteous. They're good, but fully righteous? Maybe not just yet. And since they might not have enough Saiyans for the ritual, well, that's the whole reason Beerus came here in the first place. He wants to actually bring some of the Saiyans to his planet. But which ones will he choose? So Beerus has a pretty weird choice here. He's not going to take all of them at once, and some of them do have issues, like Gohan's too young, Broly's too unstable, and the other 2 are, well, maybe good candidates, but could they be the Super Saiyan gods? He decides to take them both. They do need a competitor after all, so Goku and Raditz were the only ones who join him. It's a pretty simple solution for him. As for Broly, he's going to stay on Earth, and once these 2 get Super Saiyan God, maybe he can come to Beerus' planet, and they can try and tame that power. They just don't want him to blow up everything because he can't control his power. So, once that's under wraps, he'll come there. But he sticks with Gohan, Krillin, and Tien for now. Goten was also born not too long ago. Even though Gohan is younger than normal, Goten is probably going to be around the same age here, so that's worth mentioning. But yeah, I guess that's basically all of Battle of Gods. The first Super Saiyan God on Beerus' planet is actually Raditz. He only beats Goku by a little bit, but it still really does boost his ego. He's the first Super Saiyan God, at least in this time period. But even with the form, it's not like he's going to be a match for Beerus, nor is Goku. Even both of them together still can't match him. But he's glad. They're making progress. At some point, Whis accidentally lets it slip that there is another Saiyan out there. Raditz is pretty taken aback by this because he thought they already got all the Saiyans. Broly and Paragus were a surprise, but who else is out there? And Whis mentions that it's Tarble. Oh yeah. Raditz actually does know about him, and it just completely slipped his mind. Goku never heard about him though, but yeah, Vegeta's brother's still out there. From what Raditz knows, he was actually really weak, so he's probably not going to be a threat, but he's curious to see what's become of him, especially because he's one of the few Saiyans left. I feel like Raditz would want to take a brief detour, so Goku and Raditz go to meet Tarble, just to confirm he's not a threat, and he definitely isn't. He's a really nice guy, which is weird. He's Vegeta's younger brother, and he's nothing like Vegeta. Although, they arrive at a perfect time because Abo and Kato attack him, and the two brothers are able to defeat them really easily. And that's really the rest of the Frieza Force. No one is left. Any remaining members of the Frieza Force, they were here trying to take over Tarble's planet, and Goku and Raditz just stopped them. Abo and Kato were basically the leaders of it at this point, but there weren't really many of them anyways. Looks like Broly actually wiped most of them out before they met him. Anyways, Raditz finds it pretty interesting. All of the Saiyans outside of Vegeta's crew ended up so differently. First there was Kakarot, who of course did join Vegeta's crew at one point, but not willingly. And it's pretty apparent how he turned out differently. Then there's Broly, sent away to a random planet, and despite Paragus being pretty hostile, Broly himself isn't really too hostile. And then there's Tarble. He's pretty weak and didn't really fight much, but he's also a really nice guy. It makes Raditz wonder how his life would have been if he weren't part of all of this. Like if he weren't just stuck working with Vegeta by default. So, where do we go now? Since we are around when the Buu Saga is supposed to happen, well, first off, there would be a world tournament on Earth. Goku and Raditz would probably go back just for this because Goku still hasn't won his world tournament. The last time he was part of one was the 22nd world tournament against Tien. That was right before he got kidnapped, so now he goes back to Earth in order to join the 25th. And this is a first for Raditz too. In the junior division, Gohan actually wins that one. Considering how much younger Gohan is, he's probably not going to make the cutoff for the actual tournament, but Chi-Chi's really happy about this. Maybe fighting's not too bad for him because, look, he just made a ton of money off of it. And not just him. Goku actually wins the regular division. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Chaozu join the tournament as well, but obviously the biggest contenders are Goku and Raditz. The final fight is actually between the two brothers, and Goku ends up just barely winning. And he's elated. He finally got to win a world tournament, and on top of that, he beat Raditz in the process, so it was a pretty fun fight, cementing his spot as the stronger brother. Broly doesn't actually participate in the tournament, he just watches to learn. He is pretty scared of going berserk, and in a public setting like this, he doesn't want to accidentally lose control and blow everyone up. Of course, he has a much better control of his power by now. He can even use Super Saiyan normally, but he doesn't know if he ever will snap. And yes, he's been training here, but this isn't really the place to test it. If he's really that volatile, he's better doing that in private. But yeah, Earth is pretty peaceful right now. So, Daima should be next, right? Nah, I'm gonna actually skip it here. So, I guess this is kind of a weird crossroads, because I only just started covering Daima in my what-ifs, but I think I'm just gonna do it on a case-by-case basis. Like, I'll cover in a scenario if I think it's gonna be interesting, but I'll ignore it otherwise. Like, we were fine without it before. If I feel like it's not gonna add anything interesting into a scenario, I'm just not gonna do it. In case you've never watched any of my what-ifs before, this is the third one I've done since Daima actually dropped, and those two previous ones did have Daima as part of it, but this one, I'm just gonna skip it. Mainly because the story's already getting pretty long, and with Beerus waking up early, it wouldn't even really be a challenge. Plus, I don't feel like it would add too much interesting. Really, the only thing I could see is Super Saiyan 4 being interesting for Broly, but, I mean, we could still go down another route with that. And on top of it, I don't even see Super Saiyan 4 being necessary because you have two Super Saiyan gods right here. Hell, they probably have Super Saiyan Blue by this point. So, sorry Broly, you're not getting Super Saiyan 4 from Neva, and we're just kind of skipping Daima as a whole. Speaking of Broly, he eventually does go to Beerus' planet. Now, Beerus isn't aiming for him to become a Super Saiyan god or anything, but he could be an interesting training partner for the other two. Plus, with how strong they are, they don't have to worry about Broly just blowing up everything. Of course, Beerus could have always stopped Broly himself, but he didn't want to bring a liability onto his planet. With these two as gods now, Broly won't be a concern. Well, hopefully. They're able to actually get his full power under control. They briefly saw this in their battle with Buu. First they had to work on Super Saiyan, which wasn't too hard. His experience with Wrathful carried over there, and he was able to get control of it pretty quickly. As for his full power, that was kind of the issue, but now they have it under control. And it's weird, even without any godly ki within him, at some points he's even stronger than them, which really amazes Beerus. How is a mortal that strong, with no godly ki? Raditz had already told Beerus that Broly's a mutant, but he didn't know it went this far. What happens next? Well, there's not going to be any Resurrection F. Of course, there's none of the Frieza Force left, so no one's going to even be around to revive Frieza. So we just skipped a lot of things. I mean, the Buu Saga and Battle of Gods happened earlier than normal and happened basically connected together. Then we fast forward all the way to when Resurrection F was supposed to happen, and it just never did. So I guess next up would be the Universe 6 tournament. Thankfully for Beerus, his team is pretty stacked right now. They have a good amount of options too. He decides to recruit Goku, Raditz, Broly, Tien, and Krillin. Gohan was another option here, but he's still pretty busy with school, although he has hit his growth spurt by now. More than enough time has passed for that to happen. Goku definitely needs to check in on him and see how he's growing because they actually offer to take him to Beerus' planet, but Gohan's like the only Saiyan in the group that actually acts like a regular human, partially because he is a human after all, so he can't just spend all his time training. But it's not like he's getting rusty either. For the first fight, Raditz fights Batamo. He wins it, and then fights Frost. He's actually way stronger than Frost, but Frost is able to poison him. But Jocko spots the poison needle, and Goku says don't eliminate him. He steps in the ring and easily defeats Frost. And then, it's Goku versus Vegeta, followed up with Kappa. And Raditz is really weirded out by everything because Kappa seems like a great guy. He's been around evil Saiyans his whole life, and now he's only exposed to good Saiyans. Granted, Kappa's from a completely separate universe, but still. It really gets him philosophical about the Saiyans. Why was it only Planet Vegeta in Universe 7 where the Saiyans were evil? It's weird to him. The final battle is then Goku versus Hit. Even without access to Blue Kaioken here, Goku's gonna have a pretty easy time. I mean, consider how early on he unlocked Super Saiyan Blue. He's had it for years by now and has been constantly training with Broly and with Raditz. In fact, he's been on Beerus' planet for so long that I think he'd have something even beyond Blue by now, at least on the cusp of it. Hit's time skip is pretty hard to work around. Of course, Goku has more than enough power and he's pretty analytical with everything, so I think he would find a way to make it work, but at one point, he even instinctively dodges one of Hit's attacks. Whis immediately perks up seeing this, and Vado was pretty impressed too. For the past few months, Goku has been like this. Whis has been guiding him and Raditz towards Ultra Instinct, and he's not really sure if it fits Raditz, but definitely for Goku it does fit. And he's shown signs here and there. He's never fully transformed into it, but at points, his body has moved on its own. So Whis can tell that he's definitely going to get it pretty soon. Goku's actually able to beat Hit here. He doesn't forfeit because he could use his full power, and Hit uses his full power too. Goku is just simply stronger, and despite Hit's great experience, Goku finds a way. But of course, there was a spectator. Zamasu sees the tournament on GodTube, and he sees two Saiyans that are imitating gods there, Raditz and particularly Goku. With Goku being the stronger one right now, and basically the one who swept the entire tournament, he decides it's better to take his body. He didn't get to see Broly fight at all, and doesn't realize he's actually the stronger one at the moment. And Raditz is actually pretty relative to Goku, but Zamasu doesn't see that. All he knows is that he got eliminated pretty early on. But Zamasu goes ahead and steals Goku's body. Back on Earth, a time machine arrives at Capsule Corp, and a familiar face jumps out. It's Gohan, the future version specifically. Bulma's able to contact Whis, and Goku and Raditz come back to Earth, surprised that Gohan's back, and he says it's for a bad reason, and he explains what's happened in the future so far. At some point, Babidi arrived on Earth, and he was able to stop Majin Buu's revival. He was able to kill Dabra and Babidi pretty quickly. Although, Dabra was able to get a kill during the battle. He was able to get Shin, so the battle wasn't without loss. Kibito actually ended up surviving the fight though. This would technically make him Supreme Kai now, but since Beerus is already gone, he's not lifelink to him. So Universe 7 doesn't have a god of destruction in the future. Not that Gohan would know about that anyways, but Gohan eventually went to the Sacred World of Kai again to train under Kibito. Kibito wasn't particularly fond of mortals, but he's grown to like Gohan. Gohan was eventually able to pull the Z-Sword, and eventually ended up breaking it too, which freed Elder Kai, so now there's actually two Kai on the planet. And with Elder Kai free, Gohan got his potential unlocked by him, and now he has his ultimate form, the strongest form he has. Things were going well, but one day, someone who looked just like Goku showed up on Earth, so Gohan went back there quickly. This was obviously a huge shock to him. He's seeing his own father, but something was off. He looked kind of the same physically, but his demeanor, outfit, and everything else was really different. It was clearly some sort of imposter. Getting over the initial shock, Gohan was able to fight him pretty quickly, and pretty easily in fact too. In his ultimate form, he absolutely washed Goku black in a fight, nearly killing him, but someone then teleported in to save him, a green man that looked very similar to a Kaioshin. Gohan immediately told Kibito about this, and he was able to pick out that it was Zamasu, and they've come to learn that Goasu's dead. This is a huge surprise to Kibito because he actually did know Zamasu, and it looks like his Supreme Kai is gone now for some reason. What's worse is that during their battle, Gohan accidentally did attack Zamasu. When he was about to kill Goku Black, Zamasu jumped in the way, taking the full brunt of the blast and then regenerating. He then grabbed onto Goku Black and teleported away. So Gohan already has knowledge of who Zamasu is and the fact that he's immortal, as well as being part of this plan. But that's the gist of everything. Goku Black and Zamasu are the new villains that they have to fight. And pretty much right after he explains all this, a portal opens up in the sky. Goku Black himself appears through it, with Zamasu following behind. Good thing is they know everything here. Beerus found it pretty hard to believe, but now seeing Zamasu right there, that is proof enough, so they're definitely going to have to keep an eye on him in this timeline. Goku and Raditz get ready to fight. Goku goes against Goku Black, and Raditz fights Zamasu. Raditz doesn't really make any progress. Fighting Zamasu does nothing because he truly is immortal. Raditz finds that out for himself. He doesn't seem too strong in comparison to Goku Black, but it's pretty hard to kill someone who can't be killed. The fight between Goku and Goku Black goes pretty much like their regular first fight. Given the fact that Goku's stronger in this scenario, Goku Black is too. I mean, it's his body. But they cancel each other out. Zamasu spots the time machine, and he's able to destroy it pretty quickly. Goku Black is then dragged back to his timeline, and Zamasu follows along, smirking at them. He'll see them pretty soon. Well, maybe not without that time machine, and he laughs as he disappears. So now Gohan's stuck here, but thankfully, Bulma should be able to reverse engineer the time machine. Bulma in the future is still alive too, but she'll have no way of helping right now. So Gohan learns of everything that happened in this timeline so far, and he gets to see the version of himself from this timeline again. Out of curiosity, he spars with him. he learns that Gohan in this timeline has Super Saiyan 3. He's a lot stronger now. Future Gohan's actually the stronger of the two with Ultimate, but the fact that this Gohan's even keeping up with him is pretty impressive. He's very glad to see that. Although amidst their sparring match, somebody appears out of nowhere. It's Kibito, the future version of him actually. He was actually looking around for the time rings, and he was able to get his hands on them. As the Supreme Kai of Universe 7 right now, he says it's only proper that he knows where these things are and knows how to access them. It's a good thing he came back here too, because he didn't even realize that the time machine was destroyed. But that's fine. They can get taken to the future right now. So, Goku, Raditz, and both Gohans go along with him. Gohan does have some free time and wants to help out his future self. Arriving in the future, they immediately meet with Goku Black and Zamasu. Zamasu has actually just finished healing up Goku Black, and Goku Black has a new surprise to show them. He was already close to this before. He actually wanted to break it out against Goku, but didn't really want to do it just yet. But now that he's seen their power firsthand, Goku Black immediately transforms. A pinkish aura surrounds him, and he goes into Super Saiyan Rose. Thanks to losing to future Gohan before, he was able to get this power pretty early on, and his fight with Goku made it even better. This is Super Saiyan Rose. Goku now wonders if they should have brought Broly. He actually wasn't around during the time that future Gohan showed up, but now he's left a little bit confused, wondering where everyone went. Anyways, Kibito says he could always go back to get him if they need, but Goku thinks they'll still be fine. The first one to fight is future Gohan. He's ready to finish this. Goku Black's been fighting pretty cowardly, and Gohan wants to stop him as soon as possible, but Goku Black welcomes this. He won't be running away this time. Now he has more than enough strength to fight. Future Gohan goes into Ultimate and the two begin clashing. They're actually on a pretty even playing field right now, and this makes Goku Black really happy. This pain and rage will make him grow even further. As for Gohan, thanks to his own great potential, he has grown a bunch too, although Goku Black's going to be adapting a lot more during battle. As they are currently, even though they're pretty close in power, Gohan does have a slight edge. Plus, Goku Black doesn't have full access to Goku's power just yet. The others all watch on pretty interested, although there's still Zamasu there. Since they're just standing around, Zamasu tries to attack them, but they easily ward him off. They know fighting him is kinda useless too because he's immortal. They gotta find another way to work around that. But while they're observing the fight with Goku Black, Raditz questions Zamasu, trying to figure out what their true plan is here. Zamasu sees no way that they're gonna lose here, and since his identity is already revealed, he explains. But amidst his monologue, they all notice Gohan starting to win the fight. Goku Black's running out of steam. Gohan is too, and he's getting pretty injured as well, but Gohan's ready to finish this. So Zamasu gets ready to go in and heal him, but the other three all hold Zamasu back. Of course he could teleport away, but they all rush in to attack Goku Black at the same time, preventing Zamasu from reaching him. It's a shame. Goku did want to fight Goku Black more, but it looks like Gohan wants to finish this. It's not like Zamasu could do anything here either. Even individually, just Super Saiyan 3 Gohan there's going to be more than enough to take him on. And he's also dealing with Goku and Raditz. Plus, once future Gohan's done with Goku Black, he's going to have to deal with him too. He is getting a little bit worried because even though they can't kill him, Goku Black can die. And Goku Black didn't expect it to end this early. With this new power he thought he'd be able to win, but no, things aren't going his way. Future Gohan gets ready for the finishing blow. And quickly, Goku Black then reaches for his earring, swapping it to another ear. Zamasu was actually about to do the same thing. They really had no other option here, so he welcomes it. Goku Black is then quickly drawn away from him, and Zamasu flies between the rest of them too. They try and pull him away, but there's some other force pulling Goku Black to them. Kibito and future Gohan are a bit panicked seeing this because they actually know what's happening. They didn't even realize. Both of them have Patara earrings. They could have fused at any time, and that's exactly what happened. Now, they witness the birth of Merged Zamasu. He hates that he had to resort to this, but eventually this would have happened anyways. He's the ultimate being now. He's stronger, and he still has the immortality of Zamasu. He'll be able to serve justice this way. He floats up in the air, launching a bunch of red blasts down at them. They could definitely tell he's grown a lot stronger too. This is their first time witnessing fusion, but Elder Kai had told Kibito and future Gohan about this, so from what they know, the two of them should be permanently fused together. As far as Elder Kai knows, all fusions are permanent, and in this case, it would have been permanent anyways. But Kibito also has Patara earrings of his own, so maybe two of them could fuse. Of course, it would mean there's permanent, but they're not going to resort to that just yet. It is good to have that as a backup though. From what they could tell, fusion makes you a lot stronger. Zamasu wasn't really too impressive before, and it's not just adding their power, it's significantly multiplying it. Merged Zamasu is a threat to all of them, at least as they are now. Gohan is a little bit worn out, so Kibito goes to heal him. And present Gohan stands by them just to make sure that they're okay, leaving Raditz and Goku to fight. He'll join in once future Gohan's healed up. So Goku and Raditz look at each other. They both know what's next. The two prepare rock, paper, scissors. Goku ends up winning, and Raditz is pretty pissed about this. He's not going to get to have any fun now. Goku gets ready to fight Zamasu first, and Zamasu's a little bit confused. Future Gohan was only able to take on Goku Black alone before, and the two of them were pretty much even. What does Goku expect to do here? He does know Goku's power after all. But then he remembers something. Oh, he knows what Goku's gonna do. A strange aura surrounds him. Both Gohans and Kibito don't know what's happening, but Raditz has seen this before. Goku's hair is no longer blue. It turns black, and his eyes are now a shiny silver color. This is Ultra Instinct Omen. Zamasu knew about this, and it's something Goku Black couldn't access for himself. He only just got Super Saiyan Rose after all. The Goku whose body he stole, he did know about Ultra Instinct, but he wasn't too experienced with it, so he's not too sure that this is much of a threat to him. But he welcomes the fight. Goku has grown a lot stronger from this, and it's great that he could tap into this power willingly. Plus, it's obviously going to be a very effective way for him to fight. He vanishes and then appears in front of Zamasu, delivering a punch. Zamasu catches it, but only barely. Goku's stronger than he expected. The two of them trade blows. Zamasu wonders if he could access this for himself, but he definitely doesn't have the right mind at the moment. His mind is laser focused on his judgment right now. There's no way he's going to be able to empty it. And as the two fight, it becomes clear that Goku might actually have an advantage in terms of power here. And it confuses Zamasu, but Raditz chimes in. It's funny he couldn't understand it. Clearly Goku Black wasn't able to access Goku's full power earlier. So even though he got that Super Saiyan Rose form, which seemed pretty strong, it's not really close to Goku's peak, especially because Goku had Ultra Instinct as well. Had he fought Goku just now instead of Gohan, he would have lost a lot quicker. Same if he fought Raditz too. It seems like Goku Black did grow pretty quickly, but he didn't get to exploit that enough. He's just a sorry excuse for an imposter, and because of that, he'll never access Kakarot's power, nor will he overcome the power of a true Saiyan. Zamasu's desperately trying to attack Goku, but none of his attacks are landing, and every time he takes a hit, Goku is actually able to damage him. He's still immortal, but he feels the pain from this, and he's not fully recovering like he was before. At one point, Goku hits him with a point-blank Kamehameha, essentially melting half of Zamasu's body, leading to the corrupted version of him. And this makes Goku wonder if they actually can heal Zamasu now, because he's now taking damage from them. Even if he is immortal, he's not fully immortal, so what does that look like? Only one way to find out. He calls in the others. He's fine not taking this one-on-one. They should just try and kill Zamasu now. Normally, he'd like to see how this fight would end, but knowing that future Gohan's entire world is at stake here as well as his whole universe, plus the fact that Zamasu stole his body and killed his family, he's perfectly fine killing this guy right now. Besides, he cheated his way to get here, stealing Goku's body and not working for that power. He's been fighting cowardly against Gohan and then fused the second he started losing. It's kind of a shame. In another life, he would have been an interesting opponent, an evil version of himself. But Raditz is right. He's only Goku in terms of looks. And now that they're fused, he's not even that anymore. Gohan powers up into Super Saiyan 3, and future Gohan powers up into Ultimate, now healed. And Raditz goes into Blue. The four of them all fight together. Zamasu is completely overwhelmed now, although while they keep attacking him, he continuously is able to regenerate. Half of his body is still damaged, but he keeps coming back from it. Raditz even tries out something of his own. It takes a ton of focus to do this and a lot of his energy, but he holds out a hand and generates purple energy in it. Zamasu immediately recognized what it is and panics, as everyone else jumps back, and Raditz Hakai's him. It completely erases him, but Zamasu does regenerate from it. He was a little bit worried there, but as an immortal there's no way he could be erased. Maybe it's that, or maybe it's the fact that Raditz wasn't really using a Hakai on the level of Beerus yet. He's not sure, but either way, he's just happy he made it out of that. But he can feel his body weakening. Yes, he's immortal. Yes, he can keep regenerating. But he keeps getting weaker and weaker. Look at him. Half of him has turned into goo, essentially. He's completely lost all sense of self. And he's fighting savagely. But he does have a better idea. He'll see them very soon. Sooner than they realize. He then holds up the hand with the time ring on it, and vanishes, going to another timeline. In the present timeline, right above Capsule Corp, Zamasu floats above it. He looks around. Good. Beerus and Whis aren't here right now. And he flies right towards the closest city, but as he does, he senses a few strong powers nearby. A man flies in front of him and stops him. It's Broly. And then two other people fly alongside him, Tien and Krillin. Krillin's a little bit freaked out because this guy looks way stronger than they expected, and Tien says he does look kinda scary. Broly can't really get a read on his power either. Something's off about him, but this has to be the guy that they were fighting. So it's probably a good thing Broly stayed back here. He powers up to his full power. Zamasu's not too concerned. He's only fighting one person here, and Tien and Krillin probably aren't going to be of any concern to him. Although, he comes to see really quickly that that judgment's wrong. In his full power right now, Broly starts to absolutely decimate him. Broly is able to completely control his power by now. Plus, he's grown even stronger thanks to training. At the moment, he's actually the strongest person around, and Zamasu can't do anything against him. Of course, Broly's still not able to kill him, so that's at least a saving grace for him. Zamasu didn't expect everything to go like this, though. Thankfully, they have no way of stopping him. He still is immortal at the end of the day. Although, as Broly's wailing on Zamasu, something cuts the fight short. There's a giant pillar of green light, coming from the ground below. Broly looks down and sees Tien and Krillin standing there. Zamasu gets caught up in this green wave, and then gets placed into a container, with Krillin then running over, placing a cap on it too, followed by a seal. Tien falls to a knee, very exhausted from that, but he's surprised it actually worked. Broly asks him what he did, and he says that he just sealed Zamasu away. They came prepared with this because when they heard about what happened with future Gohan, they didn't know if they were going to have to fight a villain too. But Tien wanted to come prepared. He always keeps this on him now, just in case he needs to Mafuba someone. And with a villain like that, especially one that seemed to just constantly regenerate, that seemed like the best option. Kibito then teleports in with everybody else from the future, and they all look around kinda surprised. where's Zamasu? They see a transformed Broly floating there, and he just points down. Tien was the one who got the win? Oh yeah, they didn't even think of doing that. That was pretty smart of him to seal Zamasu away. Although, Tien mostly did that because Zamasu was way out of his league, and this seemed like the smartest option. The fact that Broly wasn't able to kill him made Tien kind of worried. Kibito and Gohan eventually return back home, thanking everyone for their help. And Bulma makes sure to send the time machine back with them too, just in case they ever want to visit. And future Gohan might want to come back someday, especially because he still has to test out his past self's strength more. Present Gohan knows about the ultimate form now, and he might try and get the ritual for himself. Of course, he's going to have to travel to the sacred world of Kai's, but he knows exactly what to do. As for Zamasu, he stays in the present timeline, still sealed away. Beerus is going to try and deal with him. It's not like he can completely destroy Zamasu because, well, looks like he's immune to Hakkai's. And Zeno could probably erase him, but they're definitely not going to take him to Zeno. Looks like they'll just have to find some way to keep him secure, just so no one stumbles upon him and no one even accidentally unleashes him. So, what happens next? Well, Gohan does go to the sacred world of Kai, doing exactly what future Gohan told him, and he's able to get the ultimate form for himself, no longer needing Super Saiyan 3. Eventually, the Tournament of Power is announced. And as for the team, we have Goku, Raditz, Gohan, Krillin, Tien, Broly, and they're short a few. They need 4 more people. Goten and Yamcha could probably take up other spots, although they're kind of weak there. And maybe they can recruit Roshi too. So that's 9 people, but they still need 1 more. What are they going to do for the final fighter? They're not too concerned about the tournament because the top people on their team, Goku, Raditz, and Broly, and even Gohan, they're more than strong enough to help out here. Universe 7's probably going to win regardless, but they still need a 10th person. And if it has to be anyone, well, Goku suggests maybe freeing Piccolo. He never got to fight him, so he doesn't know how terrifying he is. Tien and Krillin aren't worried about him anymore, but they don't know how Kami's going to feel about that, and it's going to be too much of a hassle. He's too weak to join, and they're not going to know what to do with him later. And if something happens to him, something happens to Kami then. Of course, they could free Zamasu, but that's a terrible choice. And before Goku suggests reviving someone, Raditz chimes in. What about Tarble? Oh yeah, Goku forgot about Vegeta's brother. They're able to find him again, and they explain what happened. Tarble is pretty weak, but they know he's a good guy, and as a Saiyan, he's still a pretty decent warrior, even though he doesn't fight much and was sent away here. He does have some fighting experience, so he'll help them out. So, now with the team here, they head off to the Tournament of Power. And given how long the Tournament of Power is, and the fact that it's clearly in Universe 7's favor here, I'm not going to cover the whole thing. First of all, by this point in the story, Goku might even have the completed version of Ultra Instinct, so that alone makes it sweep the entire tournament, thanks to going to Beerus earlier. Same goes for Raditz too. Raditz by now has probably even evolved Super Saiyan Blue, and he does have access to Hakkai's, so he's working on something completely different. He did want to try and get Ultra Instinct for himself, but it didn't really fit him. Plus, now that Gohan's stronger, that really helps with the team as well, and of course, Broly's there too. Universe 7's not going to have any issue. Although, it is pretty interesting because Broly does meet another Saiyan who has green hair when she transforms, and it makes him wonder if they're the only 2 of their kind. Anyways, Universe 7 wins, and I feel like Gohan would probably still be chosen as the team's leader here, or maybe even Krillin. Either way, let's say at the end of the tournament, Gohan's still in the ring, and he's the one who makes the wish, wishing for all the universes to be restored. They all return back, and they thank Tarble for joining the tournament too. And he says the entire universe was at stake, so he wanted to join, but he didn't realize he wouldn't really be needed there. He didn't actually fight too much. It was kind of fun getting back into it though. He would like to see these 2 more. They did help him beforehand by stopping Abo and Kado, and seeing how strong they are makes him wonder how strong he can get. They were low-class Saiyans after all, and look at them. Goku says he should just stay on Earth. I mean, that's where all the other Saiyans are. Why not bring his wife here? You know what? Yeah, Tarble actually considers that. Earth seems like a pretty nice place, so even if it's just temporary, they can come here for a bit just so Tarble could train himself up. He is a little bit interested in getting stronger after seeing these 2. Plus, after losing to Abo and Kado, it makes him realize that he needs to pull more of his own weight in case anything ever happens to his planet again. So Earth has 2 new residents now, Tarble and Gurei. Not long after the tournament, Moro ends up escaping prison. Instead of heading to Namek right away, he does have another idea. Not too long ago, he sensed a very odd disturbance across the universe. There's a strong and dormant magical power locked away, and Moro's plan is pretty straightforward. He wants to use this as a battery. He could go to Namek right away and wish for his youth back, but something's drawing him to this. He's not exactly sure what he's about to encounter, but he knows it can benefit him, and regardless, once he becomes strong enough to absorb anything, he'll have to face what this is anyways. So, he decides to check it out, because the power feels somewhat similar to the Grand Supreme Kai, and that worries him. It's a godly force that can harm him later on. Moro's journey first takes him to the pits of the universe, a desolate planet in a desolate solar system in a desolate galaxy. No one would even know this place existed. For millions of light years in any direction, there's no life at all. Hell, there's not even any light reaching the place he's at. And as he gets closer and closer to the planet, he feels the energy buried deep within it. Somebody hid something away that they didn't want found, and Moro was able to find it. Clearly it's gotta be something very powerful. But on top of that, this thing is beckoning him. It wants to work alongside Moro. It's been sending out a magical beacon, targeted at any evil magic energy it can locate, and Moro was pretty much the only one out there that could locate it. Going to the core of the planet, Moro finds a container locked away in another container. There's a seal on it, but it's pretty easy for him to break, and Moro gets ready to absorb all the energy inside. As soon as he takes the lid off, he begins absorbing all the power in it. And after absorbing the energy, he's a bit surprised, knowing exactly what it is. It's been Zamasu. Beerus took him here, but Zamasu wasn't going to be locked away that easily, although now it seems like he's being absorbed completely by Moro. Moro finishes his snack, and he does grow a lot stronger from it. Wow, he just needs to wish for his youth back, but even as is right now, he feels powerful. Although something weird happens. He absorbed every bit of Zamasu, but as someone who is immortal, with Moro essentially trying to destroy everything about him, Zamasu comes back from this. He's in a more shadowy form, and he's no longer the corrupt version of himself, taking on an incorporeal state. Immediately Zamasu tries to stab Moro, and Moro catches it. Or he tries to. His hand goes right through Zamasu, as he basically dematerializes and then rematerializes, stabbing right through Moro's chest. Moro tries to heal himself, and the two start fighting. Moro wants to take more energy from Zamasu, but now he can't. He's not in a physical state at the moment. But on top of that, his body is automatically going between physical and non-physical. All that time sealed away, Zamasu was conscious. He was working on his mental state, trying to access that same thing Goku had, Ultra Instinct. Although, he's interpreted his immortality a little bit differently too. He can't be killed, so discarding that physical body won't be an issue. He can regenerate it after this fight, but basically shedding it like old skin, that's not going to be a problem for him. The two continue their battle across the Dark Galaxy, with Zamasu eventually coming out victorious. Moro knew that whatever was calling him here was supposed to be a trap. He wasn't concerned because he could use it as energy, but he got a little too cocky thinking that he could handle this, when really, Zamasu had the upper hand here. And now that he's free, Zamasu could pick up where he left off. He clones himself, splitting into two, each with the same exact appearance. One of the Zamasus teleports away, going back to the future timeline, while the main one stays here, teleporting to Earth. Now, Zamasu doesn't know who's here on Earth, but regardless, he's going to finish what he started. He'll decimate this timeline, and simultaneously the future timeline, and after that, all timelines, every universe, across every timeline, will be destroyed. And from that, everything will be born anew. He'll usher in a brand new era for everything. On Earth, the first thing he encounters is Tarble and Broly. Tarble powers up, going Super Saiyan. It took a bit of time to access this, but after his first encounter with Goku and Raditz, he did try working on it, and after coming to Earth for the first time, he now has access to it fully. Although, that's not really going to do anything against Zamasu. He simply holds out a hand, and with a pretty weak blast, he completely knocks Tarble out. Broly powers up, using his full power. Now Zamasu knows that he's going to be an issue, especially because Broly's probably grown a lot stronger than before. But Broly's raw power isn't going to be able to do anything against him anyways. He's immortal after all. But he wants to get rid of Broly as quick as he can. The two briefly fight, and at the moment, Broly actually does have more power than him. But against someone who's immortal and switching between a physical and non-physical state, Broly can't really figure out a way to stop him. Tien and Krillin eventually arrive and realize what's happening. Thankfully they're prepared, ready to seal Zamasu away again, but as they look up in the sky and see him fight Broly, they then see a blade of ki pop out of Broly's back, as Zamasu stabs clean through him, and Broly drops back into base, falling down to the ground below, now dead. And Zamasu's eyes dart over towards Tien and Krillin. Quickly they try to get the Mufupa ready, but it's already too late. Red spikes of energy fall down from the sky, piercing right through them and exploding on impact. Right now they're in the middle of a city. The city's completely leveled. Tarble barely is able to make it out of here. And as he makes it to the outskirts of the city, someone else has arrived to try and help. It's Gohan. Tarble's barely conscious and he tells Gohan is bad. They can't do anything here. Tarble actually doesn't even know who they're fighting, but after Tarble describes him, he immediately recognizes it as Zamasu. Zamasu floats above the city, continuing to launch blasts down on it. He doesn't really care about savoring his time with everyone he just killed here. Goku and Raditz, on the other hand, he'll take his time with them. And same for Gohan, even though the Gohan here is different than the one who actually traveled through time. Angered and with no other choice, Gohan decides to jump in. But knowing that Broly was killed against Zamasu, he's not really too confident that he's going to win here. But he's at least got to buy some time before Zamasu destroys everything. He's clearly trying to draw out Goku and Raditz. So, Gohan just got to buy enough time for them to come here. He flies towards Zamasu, and Zamasu smiles when he sees him. Gohan, one of the people he was looking for. What, is he here to try to stop him? He knows that's fruitless, right? He's immortal. There's nothing Gohan can do. And even if they try to seal him away again, that's not going to work a second time. Plus, his aura flares up even further, showing off the same aura Goku uses in Ultra Instinct. Zamasu lets Gohan know it's completely hopeless. And Gohan looks around. There's countless casualties around them. Everything's been leveled. The bodies of Broly, Tien, and Krillin are nearby too. He has to maintain his composure. So he asks Zamasu to at least answer one thing. How did he get free? And Zamasu might as well let him know, so he explains. Gohan is a bit lost because he has no clue who Moro is or what even happened there, But the good thing is, this at least explains how he got freed, and it buys them a little bit of time. Just enough for Beerus and Whis to arrive, with Goku and Raditz in tow. The second they sense Broly power up, Goku told Whis to bring them here, and looking through Whis' staff, they could already see what happened. They're already in a pretty bad mood, especially Goku. He's trying to maintain his composure. His best friend's dead, and since Krillin already died before, he doesn't even know if he could be brought back right now. Plus, Tien and Broly are dead. At least they could be brought back with the Dragon Balls, but he's not sure what to think about with Krillin. But the worst part is, Goku doesn't even know if he can maintain his power of Ultra Instinct right now with the state of mind he's in. This will truly be a challenge for him, and Whis is interested to see how he handles it. But on top of that, Beerus is a bit concerned because he doesn't know how these two are going to deal with this guy. And Whis asks if Beerus is going to get involved, and he says he might. But if Zamasu truly is fully immortal, nothing will work, even his abilities. As he is now, he's definitely stronger than Zamasu, by a pretty large margin in fact. He could try to seal Zamasu away again, but clearly that didn't work the first time, even though it was a different method than what he uses. But even if they try it a second time, something is different about Zamasu here. It's like his body is just completely comprised of energy. Sealing him is going to be hard when he's not just one physical body. Even though Zamasu split into two, and he's not really in a physical form right now, there is just one Zamasu. But he could freely manipulate how his body is shaped and such. But Beerus does have one idea. He whispers to Whis, and then the two of them teleport away. Goku and Raditz are now caught up to speed, and they've already conversed with Zamasu a bit. Not that there's a need to exchange any more words. And Zamasu says he'll love to kill Goku a second time, just like he did in that future timeline. Goku instantly goes into Ultra Instinct, enraged at trying to keep a calm mind. He fluctuates in and out of Ultra Instinct Omen because of it, but at the very least, even if he can't get control of his emotions, he'll still utilize Omen. On the other hand, this is perfect for Raditz. A purple aura surrounds him, going into a new form that he calls Ultra Ego. The path of Ultra Instinct didn't really suit him, so this will work here. Goku and Raditz fight Zamasu together. In terms of raw strength, at the moment they do overpower him, but as the fight goes on, he continues growing and adapting. Meanwhile, in the future timeline, the other instance of Zamasu goes to Earth, and he's already encountered future Gohan, who's really the only person fighting against him there. Surprisingly enough, Gohan in this timeline is stronger than him too. He thought future Gohan would be one of the weaker ones. Not that he was particularly weak before, but compared to the two people he's fighting in the other timeline, he didn't know Gohan grew even stronger than before. So Zamasu turns up the pressure. He creates more copies of himself, making it harder for Gohan to attack him. Gohan's having a really tough time fighting him, even with a gap in power. Not to mention, the gap in power between him and Zamasu isn't too huge right now. Zamasu's able to close it pretty quickly. But the thing about future Gohan is, he's pretty persistent. He keeps getting beat down, but each time he gets back up again and again, until something snaps within him, unleashing a massive surge of ki. Zamasu's a bit shocked at first, but it's still not going to be an issue to him. Curious, he asks Gohan what this is. Gohan's unlocked something completely new here. Let's go back to the main timeline. The fight continues there. Goku and Raditz fight together with perfect synergy. Goku is able to empty his mind and he's getting a better grip on Ultra Instinct here. As for Raditz, he's really enjoying himself right now and growing stronger because of it. They throw everything they've got at Zamasu, and slowly they're getting a bit winded, but they can keep this up for a bit longer. Although they don't really know what else to do here. Again, they can't seal Zamasu away, they can't kill him, so what is it? They're kind of just trying to buy some time here, while each of them talks to each other and tries to formulate a plan. Raditz then asks Goku if maybe they should try and fuse against Zamasu because they can just get Potara earrings from the Supreme Kai. But Goku then smirks, saying they probably won't need that. They're strong enough to do this alone. What does he mean? And he tells Raditz to look closely. Zamasu is slowly taking damage. Before it was healing instantly, but now it's not. And since he's essentially made of pure energy at the moment, even when that does regenerate, it depletes his energy reserves, which means they're chipping away at his health. And that means he might not be fully immortal anymore. When Raditz mentioned the Potara earrings, it made Goku think of the Supreme Kai, and then it clicks with Raditz too. He knows where Beerus and Whis went. They went to Shin, and ironically, did the same exact thing Zamasu did. They used the time rings to travel to the future and used the Super Dragon Balls, this time removing Zamasu's immortality. And then they return here with Shin. Beerus still isn't going to step in just yet though. He wants to see how these two will handle this. Especially with Zamasu's consciousness being split across two people, it takes a bit for him to realize that in one of the battles something changed. He's no longer immortal. He still exists in two places at once and still doesn't have his physical body, but now he's not going to continuously regenerate. So Goku and Raditz decide to finish this off with one strong attack, something that will truly get rid of him for good. They won't fuse together, but they'll fuse their attacks at least. Zamasu lifts two fingers up, charging a ball of energy, throwing it down at them. Goku and Raditz stand back to back, each charging a Kamehameha. But as Raditz launches his, he shouts Hakai instead of Kamehameha, and a purple beam of energy connects with Goku's, swirling into it. It's a combo attack they practiced before, and Raditz had a simple name for it, the Hakamehameha, a Kamehameha imbued with pure destructive energy. It struggles against Zamasu's attack for a bit, but then Gohan jumps in, lending his own power to it too. Not making a massive difference here, but still allowing them to push it further and further back. And Raditz's attack continues to grow stronger and stronger as well. Then, Zamasu's attack completely vanishes, destroyed by Raditz's. Meanwhile, in the future timeline, something similar is happening. Zamasu's in a beam struggle with Gohan, now in his beast form, but Gohan is slowly starting to overpower him. In both timelines, at the exact same moment, both Zamasu's are being overpowered. Future Gohan's beam overpowers him first. It's actually a Makanko Sappo, copied right from Piccolo. It cuts right through Zamasu's attack, and then through Zamasu himself, gravely injuring him, while in the present timeline, the Kamehameha hits him, completely destroying him as well. Not just the one here, but the Zamasu in the other timeline, since the two are connected. It is basically Zamasu spread across multiple timelines after all. Together, in each timeline, the remains of Zamasu explode and turn to dust. It's a pretty massive explosion too, because Zamasu tries to expand his energy out even more, but the Hakai targets him directly, destroying everything about him. Even without a physical body, this attack gets rid of him. Goku powers down. Glad to have won, but still, this wasn't really an ideal circumstance. But Raditz sticks out a fist, and Goku and Gohan fist bump it. Following this, Raditz suggests going to Namek because maybe they're going to have Dragon Balls there that they could use. So that's exactly what they do. They're able to revive Krillin that way, and they use another wish from Porunga to restore all the damage done on Earth. Kami's Dragon Balls revive everyone that was killed besides Krillin, and that way, everything's reversed. Future Gohan then reappears, trying to make sure that everything in this timeline's fine too, and he comes to see Zamasu attacked here at the same exact time. And then he learns how Zamasu actually died despite being immortal. He was really confused by that because he had no clue how he killed Zamasu there, but it's good to see everything's okay here. Plus, they do learn about his beast form this way too, which is particularly nice for present Gohan. And future Gohan wonders if he can get to Namek in his timeline. It might be a bit tough, and with how long everyone's been dead, he's not even sure if he should bring everyone back, but it's good to know about what happened here. Of course, no Frieza means no granola, and as for Superhero, well, I feel like that's not really going to be a problem at all. Earth has Tien, Krillin, Tarbell, and Gohan to fight here. And by the time Superhero even happens, Gohan's going to have Beast for himself. Not an issue at all. Tarbell's been trying to get stronger in order to get to Beerus' planet, and following the events of Superhero, he actually does go there, joining Goku, Raditz, and Broly. It is a pretty weird circumstance he finds himself in. These 4 Saiyans are the last survivors of the race, and they're very different from the Saiyans he once knew, especially his brother. It's interesting to hear how it all came to be this way, and the origins of all these Saiyans, not to mention the way Raditz and Goku actually met in the first place. Him being sent away for being weak was actually a good thing in the end. On the other hand, Broly was sent away for being too strong. Pretty opposite circumstances for these two. But either way, Tarbell hopes to grow as strong as the two brothers there. If anything, it just kind of makes him wish that he had that type of relationship with Vegeta. Maybe in another life though. And with that, we end off our story here. What'd you guys think about this story? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel, and it shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.